Your rights are on the line in life's absurdity. Fight to stay alive. Maintain your dignity. It's the ethical underground.
Ethical underground.
For a freer earth.
Get these jackboots
It's time for another round
against the systems of death. Yeah, baby. How we going? Doing all right?
Doing great, baby. Baby!
All right. Well, Chip,
Put
on your thinking caps. All right. So, lot has happened since I've seen you last, Chip. It's been crazy.
I know. Are we gonna get with the worst guy? Should we just? I'm like, are we? Are all of us just fucked?
Yeah, we're all fucked. We are. Yeah. But before we get to the war,
Okay. We'll get to the war part. Yeah, sure.
before we get to the war, like it's gonna be marching. I'll be marching along with them. Here we go, going to war. Here we go, America.
I wouldn't.
I need to learn how to march again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure because there's all this tension between NATO and the US also. So then,
It's getting crazy, Chip. I mean, people are joining. Well, Andre's going to join in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's wait for Andre before we do that. I'm gonna just. You were asking. You saw that I was at a protest yesterday.
yeah, Alisa Viejo.
Yeah, in Aliso Viejo. So at the No Kings
Aliso
protest,
Viejo.
we had about 3,000 people, something like that, 3,600, something, a giant number, about 3,000 people at the No Kings protest last weekend. Yesterday, we had about 300 people show up. Okay, it's not it because the big ones, everyone shows up for the really national ones that everyone's going crazy for, right? But
Yeah.
it's sustained 300. I remember when Aliso Viejo Saturday protest started, there were like 10 people. Now it's like 300 people regularly.
Damn.
It's pretty great. Yeah. And I live streamed there and here's the thing though. So I did the protest and I led the chants, ice out of OC. And Hey, California, what do you say? No kings in the USA. All that. It's been great.
Nice.
Power to the people. No one is illegal. And so I've become their chant leader. I'm going to be a chant leader today in Irvine as well.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So I've got the megaphone. I'm liking it. I'm having a good time. I'm sticking it to the man. So 300 people showed up. But here's the thing. I live streamed it, which is probably how you heard of it.
Yeah.
And I put it at just small Trump protests or something like that. Aliso Viejo, and 25,000 people watched it. Or
25. You got 25,000 views on that video.
I got 25,000 views on that video. Yeah,
dude, that's really good. Really
crazy.
good. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Jackie says she's not sewing the buttons on any soldier's shirt. No. That's what they do in England. They do it for England. Do it for Scotland.
They sew the buttons on the jacket. Is that really what they
It's
do?
like an old wartime thing, right? They had to have all the people get together because there was a labor shortage, so they had to all pitch in. In the old, back when we had just wars, or so we thought. I mean, I don't know about whether it's a just war, but I'm against it. But we'll get to that. In the meantime, so 25,000 people. So here's the thing: everyone who wants to tell me, "Oh, peaceful protest doesn't work," 25,000 people watched that stream, or at least saw that there was protest. 25,000 people saw that somebody was saying something against what's going on. Now, whether or not they agree with it doesn't matter. They are aware that people are unhappy with what's happening. And that, if we were all just at home doing nothing, then those people would just be, oh, well, everyone seems to be in agreement with Donald Trump and his creepy crew of his creepy cabal of creepsters. So I'm out there doing something about it, and I'm happy to do that, you know.
Rioting, huh? You're rioting.
Oh yeah, we were right. Oh, what's funny is it was kind of funny. Someone came up and they started flipping us off through their sunroof, and he's screaming, and his wife is, so he's on the driver's side, and then his wife is closer to the to the sidewalk. So he's got to yell through his wife's face in order to yell at us. Okay. And she's just sitting there mortified. She's so embarrassed by her shitty Trump supporting husband.
I'm not with him.
That's what she's like. Oh, she wouldn't. She's just sitting there, and he's like flipping us off. He's going crazy, but we can't hear him because I have a megaphone.
Yeah.
I was like, this is show me what democracy looks like, and I have a crowd.
This is what democracy looks like. Yes.
Show me what democracy. Yeah, and then the whole crowd. This is what democracy looks like. While he's losing his shit, and he's at a red light, and he's just embarrassed. But he's losing his mind.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's like, and after he finally drives away, you know, as he has to when the light turns green. Everyone's like, everyone thought that was great, and we had a good time, peaceful protest. No one had to be violent, you know.
This reminds me of a story I gotta tell you about today.
Jackie Boyle supporting democracy in America. Jackie Boyle, thank you so much for supporting this channel and our activist efforts. I appreciate you so friggin' much.
So, speaking of the same situation I was today, so we were actually ending the We the Free event, and towards the end, there was an activist speaking to a couple, and I didn't speak to a lot of people, you know, after I did some outreach on my own, and then I normally don't speak to a lot of people. I'm just like supporting other activists when I do We the Free. Yeah. So these activists, I started hearing like this guy was getting super heated, and I heard like, what do you mean you would choose a baby? What do you mean you would choose an animal instead of a baby? Like, that's what I heard, you know, like he was really riled up. So I go in there, I'm like, hey man, like, listen, the choice isn't between a baby and an animal. The choice is between an animal and your taste buds. And let's agree to disagree or something. And what would you choose between an animal and a human? A human, but that's not the choice that you have. Yeah, but you vegans. And like, he just started ranting on and on and on. Yeah. And his girlfriend like stops him, and he's like, no, listen to him. Yeah. Let him speak. Like she stopped him. I was like, listen to him, let him speak. And I'm like, explain to him, hey, that's a false equivalence. It's not what we're talking about. You have this choice, you have this choice. What we're saying, if you have a choice, don't oppress innocent animals. Like, why do you hate animals? Like, oh, I found out that people really get upset if you ask them, why do you hate animals? Yeah. Because obviously, if you're going to exploit and slaughter them for optional products, this is kind of indicative of hate.
It's fairly hateful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so why do you hate animals? And she was like, no, I love animals. And he was like, yeah, you vegans, all of this. And we asked him the same thing again, just because he was dodging the question over and over. And eventually he got so upset that we were asking the same question that he's like, he takes her hand and leaves. But she's like, no, I want to stay. But she leaves, and he forces her. And as we look, they're not even holding hands. I think they started fighting.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I told her, as she was leaving, I told her, you don't have to put up with this shit. You don't have to be an oppressor if he wants to be an oppressor.
Nice. I don't know about this whole taste. I've never done the taste between you and your taste buds. I never understood that, because, like, first of all, flesh doesn't taste good. Vegan food tastes just the same as the other food. I mean, it's just like, what, my taste bud doesn't taste good. Yeah, it does. Oh, do you know how to cook? Like, you could cook anything to make taste like anything. Learn how to cook, you know? And I think that I was listening to this song by Pat Bunny about how, like, this guy that we're actually gonna have on the show in July 6th. We're gonna have this guy on the show. His name is Aaron from Re-Education. People know him as like this anarchist on Instagram. And he posted this thing about how, like, how doing your own dishes is the is an act of rebellion, is an act of resistance. And I think that's so funny because he's like, well, who's going to wash the dishes when we have anarchy, when there's a revolution? And it's like, well, I'm washing my own dishes now and I'll wash my own dishes then. And he wrote a song about it. And,
but who else would wash them? I'm confused about that.
Well, if without capitalism, how do you have dishwashers?
Oh, that's what you mean, like the dishwashers. Okay. Fair enough.
How do you have people who are paid to wash dishes without capitalism?
Oh, not like the machine dishwashers. There's people who are dishwashers. Okay.
There are people who call dishwashers. Yeah.
Okay.
Like at a restaurant or like people who wash dishes. And it's like, and he says, anyone who asks that question doesn't wash their own dishes, And how do you imagine a world with no dishwasher? How can you imagine a world with no cops if you can't imagine a world with no dishwashers? And I like that too, because there's all these people that are like, defund the police, I hate cops. And you're like, okay, well, do you wash your own dishes? Because here's the thing, like a world without cops is going to be a very different world. Like we have to police ourselves and have our own group of individuals who carry out very different tasks than the modern police, but we'll have to fulfill some of the roles that the police do right now, and that'll look very different. How we can imagine a world without cops, without capitalism, if you can't imagine doing your own dishes?
Yeah, I don't really like this idea of a world without a police. I think it should just be different thing, right? Like we didn't need some protectors to protect.
We need protectors from whom?
Yeah, from other idiots, like from dumbasses. There's clearly
stupid
people around the whole
Have
world.
You ever been protected by a cop?
Yeah, I actually
have.
When? What do you mean when? Let me think. When?
You're telling me at some point in your life you were like, I am being attacked, and a policeman like Batman flew out of the sky and saved you.
No.
He's your protector.
No, but he came and investigated something.
Oh, yeah, he came and he took notes about what you were doing. Yeah, okay, great. Awesome. That's what we need them for. Sweet. Yeah, that's what they... What a protector. You're right. That's how
I have some friends who they found their bike. Their stolen bike. So there's something there.
Is that a protector?
But they found the protector of property. They found their property.
We could do that in many different ways. You're telling me you can't imagine somebody else doing that and not a cop?
The thing is, like, take for instance, I think I told you that I'm watching these videos on Romania of people watching on bike lanes, and people are doing exactly as you said. They're taking, because in Romania and Bucharest especially, police doesn't do shit. Like literally, that's people are very frustrated with it. So people are doing it on their own. They're literally standing on the bike lanes and not allowing cars to pass. But people who are behind them, they're getting upset and they're asking them, "What's your credentials? Who are?"
Oh, did you lose Mike? You're muted, Chip. Oh my God, the cops heard you talking about them and they silenced you. I knew this would happen. I knew finally I would get Chip on the side of the anarchy. Chip's going to become an anarchist before we're done with him, but he's going to be he'll be silenced.
I touched the mic and it got all excited.
The second you started talking about anarchy, your mic went dead. I don't think that that's a coincidence, my friend.
I mean, it is. I literally touched.
So okay, so let's go back to the original thing. All right, so the thing is about taste buds. I think it's bullshit. Learn to cook for yourself. You can make anything taste like any. It's not between an animal and your taste bud. It's between an animal and a tomato. It's between an animal and an avocado. Who would you rather kill? It's not it's like if he's saying it's between an animal and a baby, and you say no, it's between your animal and your taste buds. That's a false equivalence. It's between
you're right.
An animal and an avocado.
You're right. That is the choice. You're right.
Slitting the throat of a pig or slicing a tomato.
I guess it sounds a little bit better because it kind of sounds like, well, because when you choose the animal, you choose it for your taste buds, right? That's the whole point.
Do you see? I disagree with that premise. I think you have that most people, especially in the Western world, have been brainwashed into thinking that, oh, this is what I eat. This is what I'm supposed to eat. This is what my parents told me to eat. This is what my grandparents ate. Even though that's not true. Grandparents didn't eat the shit. Grandparents didn't eat this. Didn't do what we do. But our parents told us to do this, and the corporations tell us to do this. I walk outside, I see thousands of ads everywhere. I open up the mailbox in America. I get a pound of mail, and most of it's advertisement for flesh.
Oh God.
Delivered to my house. People telling me I get coupons that tell me that I can get a free steak dinner all the time.
Just stop being vegan, man. We'll give you free shit. We'll give you a free steak or something.
Seriously, slicing a bean. Would you rather drink blood or coffee?
Yeah, I mean, it's you're right. You're right that it's not about taste, because when you bring it to another animal like a dog, they're like, well, dogs don't taste good. What?
Yeah, exactly. It's not about your taste buds, because again, you could make. Man, I made a tofu sandwich last night that tasted amazing. It tasted fantastic.
Man, I love tofu.
And I know that people would like it. And I fried it in oil. So it wasn't the healthiest thing in the world, but it was high in protein. I fried it in oil. I seasoned it with oregano, paprika. I say paprika. Do you say paprika or paprika?
Paprika.
You say paprika? I put paprika.
I say in Romanian, it's paprika.
Paprika.
But in English, I say paprika. Paprika.
Most Americans say paprika. Let me know if you say paprika or paprika in the chat, please. I want to do a quick poll. Paprika or paprika. Anyway, smoked paprika, oregano, little salt, garlic, and it was amazing. And then plus I put mixed greens with some carrots on it, and then I put some vegan mayo, some ketchup and mustard. There was so much flavor. It was bursting with flavor. Don't tell me that, like, oh no. And then as a side, because it's summer here in America. In California, it's summer. I don't know if it's hot there, but it's pretty warm here. And we at the food bank, they're giving away bags of avocados. Bags. I've got many avocados right now. It's amazing. So
are you making a lot of guac?
That's what was the side. I went to to Trader Joe's, got a bag of because I try not to go to the supermarket, because I'm an anarchist. So I go to the supermarket and I buy just some blue corn tortilla chips, and that was it. And then we made guacamole. It was unbelievable with locally grown Serrano chilies and California avocados. It was fantastic. Tell me, it's between your
vegans and your avocados. You don't care about the little guys. Come on.
The point is that the ethical question isn't between an animal and my taste buds. The ethical question is between an animal and a tomato, animal and a plant.
Sure.
Who would you rather kill?
But Sky, I've been saying I know you cook great food. What you just said just now sounds so good. That tofu thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, you gotta make a stream, man, where you teach us to cook some cool things, because you do make some really good things. It's like,
I would love to do that, but Karina never wants to hold the camera, and it's like,
it's hard. You have a tripod?
Man. I have a tripod, but it's hard when you're cooking because it's like it's weird angles and stuff. I did a couple. You've seen my cooking videos, right? I've done some cooking.
But put it on the other side. I know you have that bar. Put it on the other side of the bar and let it film from that angle towards you or something.
Maybe I should do it. Make more cooking videos. I like making. Oh, and wait, I forgot to mention. Okay, so the tofu I had to buy, but the bread was take and bake ciabatta from the food bank. And ciabatta. It was unbelievable.
I freaking love that.
I don't know why I'm worried, now that the gas prices are going to fly through the roof again. Everyone's going to be at the food bank, but I'm telling you now, set up your food bank membership now. If you are in America, get yourself your food bank card and you get free food. It's stuff that, like, I love it, man, because they give me so much, and it's going to expire fast, or like the apple might have a bruise on it or something, or I got a grapefruit and there's a bruise on the grapefruit. That's okay. I'm cool with that. And and I'm cool with it expiring soon too, because I'm not going to keep it in my house forever. It's only going to be a week not even a whole week in my house. I go once a week to the food bank. I get 95% of my groceries there now.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm actually thinking about doing that myself these days. I'm
Do it. You're crazy not to.
I've just been having a little bit of a hectic schedule, but it's settling down, so it's all good.
If you're worried about money, you should go to a food bank. And here's the other thing at this one, man, because back in COVID, they were worried about stuff. You drive up, they just put a cardboard box in your back seat. They just put it in your trunk. I don't even have to get out of the car. It's like I pull up.
Yeah.
They just they say, do you want eggs, dairy, or meat? And no, I don't. Okay, cool. And then I drive up and they just dump it in the back. And then they give me flowers for Karina.
Oh, that's cool. We have an app here called Too Good to Go. I think it might also be available in the US. And you go to, there's several supermarkets and restaurants that you subscribe to it, and you go take a package. You say that you want it to be vegan, and they give you a box of whatever they have.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
It's like very cheap, and you get a lot of stuff from it.
That's really cool. I'd love to do. Well, I've got a good thing going on. We have a food bank right here, and once a month they partner with other food banks, and they ask you how many people are in your family, and that's it. And then you're like, now I have it's like a little library card, and I just flash it and they scan it, and I'm ready to roll. Yeah, and I feel like I don't know what I'm going to get every week, and that's the other thing. Most people, they just get the same shit every week at the supermarket, right? They buy the same stuff. Not me. Sometimes I get an eggplant. I guess I'm going to eat eggplant this week. Isn't that a surprise? I love making stuff with eggplant. But I swear to God, if I went to the supermarket and I was going to buy something, I probably wouldn't buy an eggplant. It's not even on my mind.
But I just buy the discounted shit. So I feel you. You always, if you buy it, you always get to experience new things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I agree with you. I tried, you know what I tried for the first time, like you said, that is it called Romanesco? That has that that thing that kind of looks like a broccoli, but it's very sharp.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. That I thought it was a cauliflower.
Yeah, it's Romanesco.
Is it Romanesco cauliflower or broccoli?
It says Romanesco broccoli. God, that's
okay.
Good.
It's good, yeah. Those things are so nice, and it's great to have. It's great to be able to go and find. And dude, I've never had Ripple milk before. They gave me Ripple milk. Now, like,
what's Ripple milk?
It's like pea protein milk. It's like a high protein vegan milk.
Damn.
Super. It's like 10 grams per serving of. It's like super high protein milk, but it's pea protein, and
so it's not complete. You might need to add some brown rice stuff.
I'm not that worried about it, Chip. I get plenty of protein.
I'm sure you do.
Ever since you told me to eat more protein, I've been protein with every meal. I get plenty of protein now. I try to get 200 grams of protein a day.
Have you been hitting the gym, by the way, man? I've been meaning to ask you.
No,
but you have it right there next to you.
I know, but it's like I got to get up and do it. I mean, I don't know, and I don't have anyone. I have no accountability. No one's holding me accountable.
Let's do one thing. Everybody in the chat, let's make it this way. We will each. I will personally. I can't do it today. I'll do it from tomorrow. But starting tomorrow, I will donate every time you go to the gym. Not a lot, of course, because I don't have a lot of money. I'm a poor guy.
I'll go to the gym every day. Well, Chip, all you have to do is like I'll just send you my workouts, and you can give me a heart and a thumbs up. That would be good.
I do want that. I want you to be healthy, man. You're a really cool guy.
I know. I need to do it. I need to get back out there. I know. In Finland, there's like 500-meter lines to food banks, and many of them are controlled by church, and some even far-right party is involved. EU has stopped its free food charity. Really? Wow, Helen Aberg. I had no idea that Finland had that's surprising to me. Finland always think, is it because of everything going on with Russia? I mean, Finland hates Russia. Do you know that Finland in World War II sided with the Nazis because they hated the Nazis, but they hated Russia even more?
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Finland, Russia, they don't get along, man. They don't like each other.
I can understand why.
Yeah, because Russia was always trying to take them over, 6 days a week for me. So get that money. Vegan heretic goes 6 days a week. All right. Well, pea protein doesn't sit well with me as much as the others. Well, the thing is, I probably wouldn't buy the Ripple milk because I don't like the plastic container. Even though I don't know that the paper containers are any better than the plastic ones. I just believe that. I just in my mind, I think that that's true. Who
Depends.
knows? I mean,
Depends.
I think those paper ones are coated in plastic anyway, but
Yeah, but it depends on you what they do, right? Like, because I feel like here they do recycle. I don't know if in the US they actually do that, because I remember that they had a deal with China where they were sending everything there.
yeah,
But that's no longer the case. So
no. I mean, I don't think I think it's what 9%, 8% of our plastic actually gets recycled. We just put it in landfills and we'll figure out what to do with it someday, right? But who cares? We're all going to die anyway. There's a war on, haven't you heard?
oh yeah, let's get to that. So can I ask, we clearly know that Trump isn't thinking, right? Like, we know he's stupid, but is there at least a possibility that his stupid mistake will cost him, like, that he'll get impeached or something? Because don't you have to have like the Senate or some form of approval to go to war or something?
Yeah, so normally you need to get congressional approval in order to go to war,
Yeah,
but unfortunately, right, Congress and Senate, they're the same. Well, they're two branches of the same part, but Congress is usually the one that the House is usually the one that approves. They're able to declare war. But here's the thing. George W. Bush, you heard of that guy, right?
Mhm.
You
The
know
guy
who that
who
is?
went into Iraq. Yes, we do
Yeah,
know.
exactly. He
He's
went
the
to go
one.
bomb Iraq.
Romanians love George W. Bush. So.
Why do they love George W. Bush?
Because he came to Romania when Romania entered NATO, and he made this speech because it was raining that day when he came there. And then all of a sudden, when he starts his speech, the sun comes out, and he looks out there and it's like, the sun is shining down on us. Or I can't do it. But...
the sun's shining down. It feels like Texas.
Oh yeah, that's his accent. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
feels like Texas. Yeah. Sun shining in Romania. Dick Cheney. All right, so if you know about George W. Bush, then you probably know a couple things about him. He went to Iraq, and what did he do in Iraq?
He said the weapons of mass destruction. That was motivation for going in. It's very similar, really.
WMDs, right? Weapons of mass destruction. Mm-hmm. And even though the UN and all the countries said there are no weapons of mass destruction, we've done all of these. We've gone in, we've inspected. There's no WMDs. He's like, no, it's time for regime change. It's time for regime change.
And time to move to Afghanistan.
Well, he was in Afghanistan first. We already went to Afghanistan because of 9/11. 9/11 started that, and they wouldn't give us Osama bin Laden, so we went to kill people there, and we were there for 20 years.
But by the way, man, I loved your thing from your show saying that Osama bin Laden won because they successfully stripped away your liberty. And while I don't buy that whole, you have to take your shoes off of the airport as that being part of your liberty being stripped, it is kind of a little bit.
It is. I didn't have to do it before 9/11. Why do I have to do what they tell me?
Sure, but I feel
don't forget, the people telling you to take your shoes off is the federal government. That's the TSA. They're federal agents.
It definitely, if you look at the chain reaction that 9/11 caused, it definitely changed a lot in America. So, including the politics.
Okay, but here's the big thing. All right, I'm glad you said that because there's a big thing that happened because 9/11. Okay, so you went to Afghanistan, killed a bunch of people there for 20 years, but they actually attacked us. They didn't actually. Osama bin Laden attacked us, and they were harboring terrorists. So there was this thing called the Authorized Use of Military Force, or the AUMF. Have you heard of that?
No, I've heard of Authorized Use of Military Force. Yes.
Okay, so the AUMF, that was after 9/11. George W. Bush was like, we got to go get them terrorists. We got to fight them over there so we don't have to fight them over here. Yeah, and we're going to smoke them out. Yeah, so we kept on saying, we're going to smoke out them. We're going to smoke them out. Okay, so the Congress decided to do this thing called the Authorized Use of Military Force, which allowed the president, if there was an imminent threat, an emergency, or some kind of terrorist shit going on, you could use the military unilaterally without Congress. under certain circumstances. So,
but what are the circumstances?
Usually it's terrorism, some kind of terrorist shit.
Okay. But how is that the case now?
That's the question. You see, that's the question. Osama bin Laden did 9/11. Congress decided to allow George W. Bush to use the military, although Congress was consulted and there was public debate over military force, especially when it came to Iraq. Most Americans were still so bloodthirsty after 9/11. They were like, yes, keep bombing. Americans love death. Americans love blood. We want more blood. We were bloodthirsty. I remember I woke my ass up right before we went to Iraq. Okay. So I was for Afghanistan because I was angry about 9/11. I was upset. I was a kid. I was 21 years old or 22 when it happened.
Were you vegan?
No, I was not vegan. But you people don't understand how scared all of us were. The towers go down, the Pentagon got blown up. I mean, there was all this stuff happening and it was scary. So it was like, yeah, go to war, right? I was like that. But then two years later, it was like, we're going to we're going to Iraq because of weapons of mass destruction. I'm like, hold on a second. All you assholes are making all this money. And now you want to go to Iraq? We're not even done in Afghanistan yet. What are you talking about? But most Americans were still like, yeah, 9/11, we got to go. Iraq, Saddam Hussein, we always hated that guy. Didn't we? Except when he was our friend. When he was bombing Iran, he was our best friend. But anyway, in the 90s, he pissed us off. So we were still mad in 2003.
And he was put in power by US, right?
So no, he wasn't really. He was kind of like kept there. It was minority rule there. The Sunni and Shia always hated each other, but the Shia were Iranians, right? And the Sunni were were in Iraq, but they were still a minority. So they were able to hold power. But America loved it because we hated Iran because Iran was backed by their ally, the Russians. You get me?
Yeah.
Okay, so check this out. So then we go over there, we kill them all, we kill everybody, we kill. And what did that do? That gave the rise of ISIS. And ISIS is what Donald Trump used. I'm going to kill ISIS. All of ISIS will die. Barack Hussein Obama didn't kill all of ISIS. He killed Osama bin Laden, but that's not the same thing. And so George W. Bush caused ISIS, basically. Barack Obama tried to clean up the mess, kills Osama bin Laden, but does not get out of Afghanistan. Ding dong. What the fuck? Mm-hmm. Donald Trump takes office saying he's going to end all wars, does not end the war in Afghanistan.
No, of course.
Barack Obama ended it in Iraq. So, we're out of Iraq, quote unquote, even though we still have bases there and the rest. All right. So then we get him out. And ISIS, Donald Trump's like, I'm going to kill all of the ISIS. And he gets elected. Doesn't really do much. Nothing really happens. He doesn't get out of the wars, just keeps perpetuating war. And then he's out. And now Donald Trump's back. And what does he use? The AUMF, which was only there for George W. Bush to fight terrorism.
Yeah, but there's no terrorism in this case.
Well, then we had to go to court, don't we?
So does that mean that he might get impeached?
Yeah, might.
Please, God. I will believe in the spaghetti God. Just whatever, man.
Maybe.
Please.
I doubt it, though. Like, I think he broke the law. I think it's very clear that he broke the law. But I think that's what the courts will decide. Did he break the law? Will he be impeached? And if he is impeached, will the Senate convict him and remove him from office? I don't know.
God damn it. Have you heard about I'm the one to change the subject. I'll write it down.
But so now we're bombing Iran, and what do you think? Is it okay? Is it ethical to bomb Iran?
Of course not.
Why not?
Why not? Because they didn't do anything to you. Why would you bomb them?
They were building nuclear weapons. Oh, Dre's here. Oh my God, Dre's here. Thank God Dre is here. I can't wait to hear what this guy has to say. I've been wanting to talk to him about this. All right. Dre's here, everybody. Ding dong!
I won't be offended by the fact that you thank God Dre is here to talk to you about
Dre is here. No, because I want Dre to illuminate the situation a little bit. All right. Here comes Dre, everybody.
We can talk this through. The ethical underground.
Yeah. Hello, Dre.
Hello. Hey, Sky. Hey, Chip.
Oh,
I love the mustache.
You still got the stash, man. You look at
a little bit of a stash, yeah.
You got a little bit of a stash, huh? You look.
You're owning up to it, man. I love it. You look great.
Yeah, I'm channeling my inner Saddam Hussein, I guess.
Oh, I was gonna say if it weren't the day after we bombed Iran, I would say you look like Groucho Marx. But since we're bombing brown people again, I'm thinking something else these days. So we were just talking about the AUMF and why I think it's illegal for Donald Trump to have bombed Iran, because I think it was a illegal use of power. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't something that I've looked at too deeply, to be honest. This is like a kind of a con law type thing. My understanding is that to make any kind of official declaration of war, right, you need congressional approval. Mm-hmm. My understanding is also that bombing a country is kind of a de facto declaration of war, isn't it?
I think so. I think it's a declaration of war, especially when you're not bombing the terrorists. Like when they bombed the Houthi rebels, right?
Right.
They said, okay, well, what did they do? The terrorists, we got them. So what they did, they showed the missile from I think a aircraft carrier, somebody in the Gulf fired a missile or a Tomahawk something. And fired it, and they showed it. They showed like a bunch of people in a circle. They're having a terrorist meeting. So they say, but they're having a terrorist meeting. Let's just believe them. And they bombed those people and killed them all. And we got to see that. And they're like, that was a terrorist meeting. We killed them. That was an authorized use of military force under the 2000, I want to say 2 Act or 2001. It was after 9/11. 2002, I think, is when Congress gave the president a little extra power when it came to stopping terrorists. Is Iran, is the nation of Iran a terrorist organization? Is that what it is?
I don't think it's considered. I mean, it's not on the country itself. I don't think is even on the U.S. list of terror entities. I think they've added a few kind of Iranian paramilitary entities.
Yeah.
But I don't think the country itself is. So yeah, I mean that's a thorny question, right? So what are you gonna do now? Also, doesn't that just mean that anytime you want to bomb some country, you just say they're actually terrorists? This country, you put them on the list.
That's how everything is. Oh, Venezuelans, they're terrorists. They're also invaders, by the way. The Mexicans down by the Home Depot, they're terrorists. They're terrorists and they're criminals. And they're an invasion. They're all three. They're invaders from a foreign land. They're terrorists, and they're also all child predators somehow. I mean, this is how they do. Like, is this any different from the Nazis calling Jews rats, or the or on the other side, the Hamas calling Jews calling Hamas dogs? You know, they call them dogs. They call those rats. You know, they use this language. They're all terrorists.
Do you guys remember how during the Obama administration, Trump kept saying, Obama is going to strike Iran. He's going to strike Iran, and it's going to be him failing to negotiate, because he's so bad at negotiating that he's got to just bomb Iran. He's going to do it. You're going to see. Obama didn't do it. Lo and behold,
Obama signed a deal with Iran that eliminated something like 90% of their uranium. It was like almost 90% of their uranium gone because of Obama's work.
It's pretty funny that he ends up doing the thing that he claims a bad negotiator would do. You know, he's like a bad negotiator would just bomb them. What does he do?
But what's the deal? Well, like, can you tell me, because I'm unclear. What is the deal with U.S. hating on Iran? Is it just because Russia supports them? That's it?
No, I don't think so. I think
ahead.
there's a long and storied history, right, as to why the U.S. has taken an oppositional stance on Iran.
And here I show my ignorance or my lack of knowledge.
There's a lot going on. The easy answer is there was the Cold War, and Russia and Iran were and are allies. So that was like, there was a reason why they kind of scared America for 20 years about Iran. They were all supposed to be afraid of Iran during the Cold War. But you're right. There was also, they're very, very rich in gas, uranium. They mine it there. They have uranium mines there. Like, you can't allowed to dig that out, but we're sitting on top of it. You're not allowed to eat it though.
I could give like a package. I could give like a post-war. I could give a World War II onwards history if you want to hear kind of what happened.
Please. Yeah, I'm curious.
So World War II, there's the Tehran Conference, where Iran is this kind of critical transit point between British India and Russia, and also the Nazis had been kind of courting Iran to be a fuel source, basically, for them for oil.
I heard that's why Iran changed their name, by the way, is because the Nazis. But that's
it was around that time, yeah. The previous 2 Shahs ago, I guess. Well, there's no current Shah, but 2 Shahs ago, you have who was referred to as Reza Shah. Basically, they're getting letters from Hitler, and the allies are worried that Iran is going to allow their railways to be kind of a transit point for oil, and giving the Nazis access to the Indian Ocean, and also not allowing that logistical corridor to the allies, which would be important for them. So over the course of literally, I think like 2 to 3 days, it was like less than a few days, Russia and the United Kingdom basically just invade Iran and steamroll over the Iranian military at the time. And Iran was a neutral country, mind you. At the time, they had not declared for Germany the Axis or for the Allies. They were just neutral. But the Allies wanted access and Axis exclusion, I guess, over that area, particularly because of resources. So what happens is they have a conference there with Churchill and Stalin and what's his name, Roosevelt, right?
Yeah.
And the 3 of them do their meeting, and they then depose the Shah, and they put his son in power, and then
because his son will play ball.
His son is willing to play ball.
Yeah.
So there's a election then that happens about a handful of years after World War II, where a prime minister is elected who is saying he's going to nationalize Iran's oil, because it was basically being controlled by the Anglo-Iranian oil company, which would then become BP, actually. But at the time was just called the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. He was saying this is super unfair that the United Kingdom should be profiting off of our oil. So he's saying we're going to nationalize it and not let this private foreign company control everything. Obviously, the United Kingdom's upset about this. So they go to the CIA and they're like, hey, we don't like this Mohammad Mossadegh prime minister guy. Let's do something about him. So they orchestrate a coup. They get rid of him. They give the Shah unlimited power, to quote Palpatine. And this obviously upsets a lot of people in Iran, because they're like, wow, this guy's just a straight up puppet.
Plus, they had just gotten used to the idea, we don't want a Shah, we want a guy that we're going to elect. But this whole nationalization, saying that you want the money from the oil going to the people of the region rather than New York and England, that seems...
So it was upsetting to them,
reasonable.
right? Yeah. So the Shah is placed back. He's kind of restored to his rightful position, and the oil flows. But what ends up happening is Russia ramps up its regional aggression post-World War II and its control, and the Shah is actually worried about the Russians. So he starts increasing his military spending and buying a ton of a ton of military equipment from the United States. They start the nuclear program with the help of the U.S. and and Germany. And Iran is supposed to be this counterbalance that's like this anti-communist power in the region.
Our boy in the Middle East.
Basically, yeah, it was Iran and Israel that were like kind of the two I guess heavyweights at the time that were supposed to. And to a degree, Iraq as well.
Yeah, we had this like we had Iran, we had Iraq, and we had Israel. They were our boys in the Middle East. And we were sort of flirting with Saudi Arabia. Like
sure.
We had our tip in there.
And the Taliban, of course, which would be funded by the U.S. To fight the Soviet, but that would happen a little later.
The the Chechens and
yeah. So what ends up happening is the Shah of Iran, who has upset so many people by all of his policies, which they're claiming were too pro-Western, not enough pro-Iranian. He upset the super fundamentalist religious people by minimizing, I guess, the types. Him and his father had kind of tried to modernize Iran and have Westernize Iran, yeah. So this was upsetting the religious class. He was upsetting the communists, who were obviously opposed to the U.S. and capitalism and the Shah. So he was taking communist students and dumping them into lakes, and like killing them and dumping their bodies into lakes, and his secret police. So he was upsetting the communists, the far left. He was upsetting, obviously, any kind of genuine nationalist who was upset about selling out to the West.
So revolution! We have a revolution! We love revolution, 1979.
So Francis harboring Ayatollah Khomeini, who is not Khamenei is the current one. Khomeini, they have very similar names, but who's kind of the predecessor of the current Ayatollah. Francis harboring him, they're keeping him safe. He's spreading out cassette tapes. So my dad was studying in London at the time, in 1978, 1979. And my dad's in a library at his university in London, and he's sitting at a table in his library at his university, and some guy walks up to him and hands like kind of a whatever the 70s equivalent of a cassette tape would have been.
Yeah.
Onto the table. It says nothing to my dad and just walks away. My dad goes and plays it when he gets home. It's this propaganda tape produced in France from the Ayatollah saying we need to overthrow the Shah. We need to do something about the Shah. We're gathering people. We have all these students. We're going to go in. We're going to do this. My dad tells his parents, hey, man, this doesn't sound good. I'm all the way here in the UK and I'm getting tapes like this. So his parents are like, all right, we got to get out of here. Anyway, so the revolution, the Shah leaves the country. People aren't protesting for him. Nobody's really supporting him. There's this kind of trifecta alliance of communists, democratic, national secularists, and like the ultra religious far right, all united under Ayatollah Khomeini, who's promising everyone. He's saying, "Hey, we're gonna have this system where everyone's voice is heard. Revolution happens,
and the oil money's gonna come to you guys. It's gonna
oil
be great.
Money's gonna go to everybody." As soon as Ayatollah,
you're all gonna be rich. All you gotta do is follow me and be super Muslim. And by the way, the Ayatollah was saying crazy Muslim shit back then too, like extra crazy stuff, like chop off all the heads of the unbelievers and stuff like this. Like he was hardcore, scared the fuck out of the West.
So he's got to do his purge, right? So in 1979, he takes over and they start purging anyone who was protesting with the communists, anyone who was a democratic secularist. They're killing all the military officials, executing anyone who was associated with the Shah. People are terrified of saying anything. And the US is realizing, okay, this guy is not going to be, he's not going to be kind of the neutral guy that it seemed like he might have been. Because toward the end of the Shah's tenure in the 70s, he kept increasing the price of oil, and the West kept complaining. They're like, why are you increasing the price of oil? Why are you increasing the price of oil? And the Shah saying, well, you guys are charging us a lot for steel. You're increasing the prices of steel. You're increasing the price of military equipment. So there was this hope that maybe things would be a little better under the Ayatollah. Obviously, things were much worse. Israel wasn't sure where the Islamic Republic was going to stand. So 1 year later, Saddam Hussein decides that since half of the Iranian military has basically been purged, it's a good time to invade Iran. They have the US's go-ahead. They have the US's financial support, military support, arms support.
Missiles, new missiles. They call them Scuds.
Jesus.
We gave him these great new missiles.
He had some excellent chemical weapons that he was using on Iranians.
We gave him all sorts of new toys.
Basically, every country in the region is supporting Saddam Hussein. The the U.S. is supporting Saddam Hussein. The UK is supporting Saddam Hussein. Iran's supporters were North Korea and Syria.
And eventually the Soviet Union.
Right. And somewhat the Soviet Union was kind of selling to both Iraq and Iran. And then I guess thankfully there was anyway, I won't say thankfully, but so it was an awful period in Iranian history where 8 years of wars, 1980 to 1988, around 500,000 Iranians were killed, many of whom were civilians. The people today, millions and millions of Iranians today are suffering from the effects of chemical weapons used by Saddam Hussein. And a lot of people just blame the West for this happening. So this creates a lot of animosity. And then, of course, Iran, in its strategic view for the region, is funding and supporting all sorts of groups throughout the Middle East that are oppositional to the West, oppositional to Israel, oppositional to Saudi Arabia, sort of a counterbalance. And I think all of this is why the U.S. has this stance against Iran, is that they've funded Hezbollah, they've funded Hamas, they've funded a lot of Shiite militias in Iraq, the Houthis in Yemen, Shiite militias in Saudi Arabia. So this is kind of the general concept.
And for a long time, when I was a kid, the Shiites were like they were the boogeyman. They were the ones that were, when I was a kid, the Shia Muslims, they were like, those are the mean ones. I mean, there's Muslims and then there's Shia Muslims, and they're scary. The Ayatollah was literally a villain in the Batman comics. Like in the comic where Robin dies, the Ayatollah is the one who kills him. Well, Joker is the one who kills him because he's working for the Ayatollah. Like that's how
crazy
serious in the 80s and 90s we took this shit. The Ayatollah was
also,
like,
that's right, because there was the hostage crisis as well. This is important. This is, if to answer Chip's question, the hostage crisis played a pretty was important because everyone was apparently in the 80s, everyone was talking about, it's been 300 days, it's been 444 days, and they still have these
70s. That was 79, right?
79. Okay, 79.
And then 1980. So through 1980, because the election happened, there was like, it's been 300 days that they've had our hostages. And then what's crazy is Iran pulls this shady shit where they're gonna release the hostages, and then they wait until Reagan gets elected, and then
he's inaugurated, right?
The day he's inaugurated, they release him as to get like, it's crazy. And so then we end up super right wing in America. It's very smart moves, savvy motherfuckers. But okay, so does that answer your question, Chip? Why America doesn't like Iran? But we do.
Sounds like
we're swimming in Iranians here, except they call themselves Persian. But
it just sounds like political nonsense. It's yet again to me like people just being assholes to each other because they want to be, basically.
Okay, so hold on a second. So the questions are
long-winded explanation.
Is it ethical to bomb sites?
No.
Like, forget about, like, I think Donald Trump broke the law. But is it ethical? Is it ethical to have bombed the nuclear bomb?
Are there people in there?
Yeah, probably. People going to die. I mean, we looked up.
No.
So if one person dies, no. Even if it's to save all of Western civilization.
Yes. That's unethical.
Okay.
It's ethical to bomb a site.
The ends don't justify the means.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that what we want?
Because at the end of the day, supposedly the accepted narrative as we are on June, whatever the date is, it the 19th yet? The 22nd. I'm way behind. June 22nd, 2025. We have the accepted narrative is that we bombed 3 sites where they were building nuclear weapons or shit to build nuclear weapons, right? Is that ethical?
It was enrichment of uranium. Why do we assume it was for nuclear weapons? Couldn't have been also maybe for nuclear power plants?
That's what they claim, medical reasons and nuclear power plants. And they had a lot of semi-enriched uranium, but they had the ability to go to this plutonium level, right? That was the scary part. And but I think it's all bullshit. But if it's true, is it ethical?
Are there people? I mean, are there people? What if there's no people there, Chip? If there's nobody there and you're just bombing a bomb and there's no human being or any life form, like there's no animals, there's nothing there. It's just bombs.
Then
no insects, just bombs.
Ethics.
No insects, no screwworms.
Then it's agnostic of ethics.
Why not? I own those bombs. If you bomb my bomb, if you kicked my bicycle because you thought I was going to use my bicycle to commit a crime? Or what if you knew I wanted to commit a crime, so you slashed the tires of my car?
But then by your logic, if you go that, then the fact that you guys have the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear guns, is unethical, because chances are you're going to be killing somebody with those guns, and killing somebody is unethical.
No, chances
Therefore,
are we're
the
not going to be killing. The vast majority of people do not kill people with their guns. We just have them.
But whoever has them will essentially be hurting somebody else, which is unethical.
It's just a possibility that we might hurt somebody else.
But if you are going to use them, the possibility is that you are going to use them, and therefore you are going to harm somebody. And
so we should take away everybody's guns?
Then having guns is unethical. But that's the thing. I think when you get down to, at least I don't have a strong ethical opinions on premeditative stuff, right? Like when on
thought crime.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's ethical or unethical. I think
we heard you were thinking about bombing us, so we're gonna kill everybody.
Yeah, that's unethical to kill somebody, especially based on a thought crime. But I just feel like, yeah, it's just like, it feels like, I believe, like just in my opinion, I feel like war, what it needs to be, since humans clearly need to wage war for some reason. We have so much technology, money, and all that shit, but still we want to fight each other like monkeys. I'm just like, why is it that why is it that Trump can't say, we're going to bomb this site, and this site today? Like, why can't they announce so that the people go away from it and they bomb only the facility?
Well, the Iranians are saying they did evacuate those areas, but who knows? I mean, it doesn't matter, though, because we killed 3 military generals, 16 scientists that know how to build bombs, and Salawali. What was the guy we killed last time that we killed in Iran back when Trump was president?
Soleimani. Yeah.
Soleimani. Yeah. We killed Soleimani, too. that was the big one. We killed him, but that was like 5 years ago, right? We killed him, or 6 years ago.
Yeah, that was during Trump's first presidency.
I mean, we're killing also the people who know how to build bombs, Chip. They dedicated their lives to learning nuclear physics. They dedicated their lives to know how to build bombs, I guess, to learn how to...
I don't like that. I don't. I think that's stupid. Can you, like...
I mean, is it wrong to study bomb making? I mean, maybe I shouldn't ask this question as a Middle Eastern man in this country, but but
it's not.
Let me present this to you. Let's say extraterrestrials are coming to Earth and they have hostile intentions. They have hostile intentions. They're going to enslave everyone on this planet. They're going to do all sorts of terrible things. Isn't it more ethical to study bomb making, like for defensive reasons, to defend this planet from these extraterrestrials?
Yeah, I think studying bomb making, it's in the human condition, is to discover and train ourselves to do all sorts of numerous things. Nuclear submarines use nuclear fission, right? Nuclear whatever. I knew a guy who was a nuclear physicist who worked on a submarine for 11 years, and he never built a bomb. He just worked on a submarine.
Yeah, plus I fail to understand what the purpose, why would it even be unethical? Like, take for instance, in Romania at my job, at some point, I have a video of this, which is kind of funny. We were like, I think 8 guys in that company, and we all stopped and discussed how many men would it take, and does it have to be an odd number or an even number for everybody to fuck each other, in a circle. Right?
Okay.
So, like, we were genuine, and
I thought it was going.
And we spent like 2 or 3 hours making calculations. Does it have to be odd? Does it have to be even? Because when one moves one way, he still has to be inside the other guy, right? Like his ass.
Yeah, like a human.
We're doing like a human centipede type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But a Mobius strip.
It took hours. It took hours to calculate this. Can you break this down?
It didn't take. No, sorry. It didn't take hours to calculate. But it took hours to explain to some people how we did the calculations. Let's put it this way. But that doesn't mean we had the intention of ever doing that, right? We just...
Well, yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, we used to
so you say
about how we would rob an armored truck. And even when I was a kid in my family, we'd see an armored truck and be like, how could we rob the armored truck? I've never robbed an
Yeah.
armored truck, but I always thought about how
Scott,
easy it would be to get
Did
the
you
money.
spend 3 hours discussing how to rob the armored truck?
No, maybe
That's
like
what I'm saying. He's spending 3 hours talking about it.
no, maybe 30 minutes because we all had our different ideas of how we would do it, you know.
What is
And
the
then
time threshold for like at which point like maybe you're considering doing it? Like, I think it's
like,
more than
if you're gonna rob an armored truck, how do you do it without killing anybody? That was the other thing. Like you had to do it without killing anybody, and that makes it harder, right? So that added time to the thing. Okay, but still, guys, do you think it's? I think it's unethical because first of all, who the hell gave us the right to tell anybody what they can do in their own country? Why do we have that right? And we just get to determine that they're doing something wrong, like with no public discussion, no congressional approval, no UN, no nothing. We haven't discussed it at all. We're just deciding they did something wrong. We're going to kill them or we're going to bomb them, whatever. Like that's unethical to me.
It is, but it's I mean it's clearly unethical to bomb, but it's also unethical to I don't know. Is it unethical or is it just like
well? So right now they're saying it's because of
it's on
deterrence.
something.
It's deterrence,
unconstitutional,
but it's not. Well, yeah, I think it's unconstitutional too. But it's unethical because we don't have the right to do this. Donald Trump is not a king. He doesn't have the right to do it. Legal right, or I think, or just moral right. But like, it's not in the name of liberation. At least when we went to Kuwait, they at least sold us on the idea that we were going to liberate the Kuwaitis from those evil Iraqis. At least when we went to Afghanistan, we were going to liberate the people from those evil Taliban. This isn't even a discussion right now. There's no, it's just all about being Israel's bitch. And I don't know. When did America become the mercenary army for Israel?
I mean, America is slowly becoming the mercenary army for everybody. It seems like you just got to pay America and they'll start killing or bombing other nations.
Totally. So that's the question I wanted to ask Andre too. Okay. So Andre, we're allies with Israel. Israel says we're under attack from Iran, which was bullshit, but whatever. They went to go bomb Iran. We got involved because Israel's our ally. But isn't Russia still allies with Iran? Isn't China still allies with Iran? Are we just supposed to, does being an ally mean nothing anymore?
Well, they're not military allies. They don't have like reciprocal military parts of the treaties that they've signed with each other. They're economic allies, cooperation type thing. But yeah, obviously not. There's definitely arms sales that are happening between Russia and Iran. We know Iranian drones have been used in Ukraine, by the Russians. But yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if NATO.
Does Iran have no friends that can back them up? Is that like they're just alone in the world, no allies, no one? Because it used to be.
They had
Syria.
Bashar al-Assad, and he's gone.
Great.
They had Hamas, I guess, to the extent that Hamas could do things for them.
Another great.
Which they really couldn't. So now
Hamas
they're gone.
Kind of gone-ish.
Hezbollah pretty much gone.
Yeah, there's the Houthis in Yemen. They're kind of around.
Could disrupt oil going
in
through
the
Red Sea. Okay.
And there's North Korea,
who has nuclear
a lot of great ones.
capability.
some hits, some classics, right?
But wait a minute, I gotta ask because
I'm still worried about fucking North Korea. I mean,
but Sky, if you think that everybody needs if you think that the Second Amendment is the right that you should have to bear arms, then you should also, in theory, deduce that every country in this planet should have the right to make nuclear weapons.
Ooh, that's a good question. I think that's the question that we've been facing since the 1950s. Who is allowed to have nuclear weapons, and why does America get to decide? Right now, up until recently, it was, well, America gets to decide because who do you trust? The Russians? No. China? No. So I guess it's America. They get to decide, them and their friends.
So why is it that Israel gets to have undeclared nuclear weapons, but Iran doesn't? This is a question that is big.
But everybody
question,
should be allowed to have nuclear weapons, or nobody should be. I think that would be the fairest thing, right?
Allowed is the big question, right? So like we had a talk and a deal with Iran so that they
which
wouldn't
Trump
build.
backed out of.
Trump backed out. It's the worst deal ever. And now we're back into this mess with them because he said, remember what he said? Kamala Harris will start World War III too. Don't you forget the first day, World War III. January 20th, 2025, we're going to have World War III. I mean, and now here we are at World War III. If anyone stands up for Iran, that's okay. So first of all, of course, Chip, I don't think America has the right to tell anybody what to fucking do. We should be asking nicely. And this is what America, here's, okay. Up until recently, America did it this way. We said, hey, Iran, whoever, we're going to give you a bunch of money, all right? And we're also going to protect you militarily because we are the big boys. As long as you don't fuck with us, you keep the oil flowing in the right direction, we're going to give you lots of money. Just don't get any nukes. Don't bomb anybody, all right? That's how America did it. That's basically the Pax Americana. That's basically it in a nutshell. We give you money. We protect you. We'll make you rich. You won't need nuclear weapons because we got them all. And don't you trust us? Of course we do, because we're the good guys. We don't torture people. But that is bullshit now. We all see it's bullshit. Our ally, being an ally with America is bullshit. Do you think, look what happened to Ukraine. Ukraine wanted nuclear weapons. We said, don't do it. We'll keep you rich. Don't do it. And Ukraine said, okay, we trust you. And now look, fuck Ukraine. They don't have nuclear weapons. Russia doesn't take them seriously. If they had nuclear weapons right now, there would be no war.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like either all of us have it or none of us have it. I think that would be a fair assessment, isn't it? Like, why is it that only, again, like, and you're right, who gets to decide? So nobody gets to decide. It's pretty clear that if somebody wants nuclear weapons, then all of them should have nuclear weapons.
Well, and this is also just a clear message to anyone else that, like, if you have a nuclear weapon, you're immune. You can do whatever you want.
Yep.
And if you don't have a nuclear weapon, you're at the mercy of any country that does.
Exactly.
Look at Pakistan. Pakistan was part of the axis of evil too. And they, when Osama bin Laden was running around, everyone thought he was in Pakistan for a few days. And guess what? No military action in Pakistan. How funny. How funny that didn't happen. You know why? Because they got nukes. Russia gave them to them, and we don't want to get nuked by Pakistan. Like that's how you don't get
just remove all nukes. I feel like it's such a stupid thing. Like it basically, because nukes is like the ultimate weapon, right? It's like, hey, we got the ultimate weapon. Don't fuck with us. We drop it on you. You can drop it on us afterwards also. But,
but I don't even think it's that hardcore, Chip. I think we got nuclear weapons. And you know what that earns us? A seat at the table. Now you're going to take us seriously when we sit at this table. I don't think it's not about, hey, I can bomb you. You can bomb me. It's about, you're not going to invade me.
But I don't want to live in a world where power gets you a seat at the table. I don't want to live in a world where you have to have power to be there.
And yet here we are.
Fuck, that's the sad part about it. Apparently that's the world we live in right now.
Okay, but check this out, Dre. The big question for me today is, okay, when you're an ally with the United States, it was, hey, we got the nukes. You don't need them. We'll make you rich. And now that's bullshit. Hungary proved that was bullshit back when they had their uprising against the communists. The Ukrainians have just made it obvious that a deal with America is bullshit. Iranians made a deal with America. It's bullshit. Being an ally with America is a lie. We are not your allies. We are not going to back you up. In fact, if we have a bigger friend who's got more money, we're going to bomb you. We're going to bomb you. So since our relationships with our allies means nothing anymore, in my estimation, I think that other countries are feeling the same way. What about Russia and China? Their sphere of influence has been growing. China has all sorts of economic ties to South America now, economic ties to Africa. So does Russia. Are those military allies? Is that, I don't think they have military treaties, but if somebody attacks a economic partner of China, is China going to back them up?
I think that's the question for probably this next decade is what is China and Russia, how much are they willing to extend their militaries to in like what looks like it's going to be a multipolar world? Are they going to be using their militaries in the way that the United States had for so long, especially now with this precedent of apparent immunity where you can do what you feel like to Ukraine, and there's basically no consequences. You could do what you felt like in Georgia. Russia did the same thing in Georgia, if you remember, not too long ago. Basically, no problems. I think China is salivating at the thought of what they might be able to do with Taiwan. We'll see.
Hungary was there was a Hungarian uprising in the early 60s, I think, when we just let them all die, be crushed by the Russians, and they haven't ever recovered. They still have a dictatorship even after the fall of the Soviet Union. They still have a dictatorship there. Yeah, I mean, we haven't backed up our allies. I wonder if anyone's got Iran's back. Because, okay, let me ask you, I don't think that if someone attacked England right now that Trump would back them up. But we're backing, I don't think they would. I know you laugh, but do you trust America to have England, our number one ally, right? Third richest country in the world. Do we have their backs?
I would be surprised if we didn't. I mean, that's, I don't know. Yeah, the fact that it's a question definitely says a lot about this administration, that we can't say with 100% confidence that the US would support the UK. That's a crazy thought to begin with, right?
That signal chat that Hegseth was on was literally saying they need to pay their own way. Fuck the Europeans. We always have to back them out. That's our Secretary of Defense, our war secretary, saying that about our closest allies. So let's say Poland falls to Russia and Russia moves into Germany. Is America going to do something about it? I don't think so. And if we aren't going to back up our allies, is Russia going to back up there? This is what I mean. If the world is up for grabs today because of this multipolar thing you were just discussing, you just mentioned, why wouldn't you go with China and Russia? If I'm Germany right now, I'm looking at China and Russia to see if I can get paid and actually have someone have my back.
Yeah, especially if the US isn't going to. And this is this is the path of isolationism that Trump has promised. And it's weird because we're still going out and sending our planes halfway across the entire planet. Not halfway, across the entire planet, across the whole planet to go bomb a country, which is very interventionist. That's the more old school Republican, right? That's not what you were promised with Trump. But then there's that same thing where we're not going to support Ukraine. We're not going to support other European countries, which is kind of strange. I think the fact that Iran is being bombed by the United States is a strong indicator that Russia has no intentions of supporting Iran, because I have and still believe that Donald Trump is an agent for the Russian government. So,
but wait a minute. So what's I fail to understand what the hell is going on. Can somebody? Because I'm okay, so if Russia is now friends with US, is China, and China's the enemy of US, but China's a friend of Russia. It's also it's getting so complicated.
China's always been pissed out about being junior partner to Russia. That's been a problem for China for a long time. And now that China's rised up, so now it looks like America. Put on your tinfoil hat. It looks like America and Russia are joining forces to be the superpower, while China and the rest of Asia ends up being put on ice. What do you think, Dre? Is that accurate? What do you think?
I mean, that certainly could be the case. It seems like China is certainly panicking about tariffs and concerned, because that's really the one way you can kind of cause them issues, is by hurting their ability to export. And so they're just exporting to other countries and they're doing their reciprocal tariff thing. And I think that seems to be the case. We're giving Russia the ability to do what they want in their spheres of influence. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. Let's say the Red Sea is shut down, the Suez Canal, and the Strait of, what's the strait that Iran controls?
That's the Strait of Hormuz in the Persian Gulf.
Yeah.
Which, excuse me, is now, I guess, excuse me, I'm in America, I can't call it the Persian Gulf anymore.
What are we
despite
calling
that
it?
It's been called that for 2,500 years.
It now?
It's now the Gulf of America. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the Gulf of it's the Arabian Gulf.
The Arabian Gulf.
Yeah, Trump, I got to give him one thing. If there's one record he's good at, it's renaming gulfs. He's like the ultimate Gulf renamer. I mean, no world champion. I don't know that anyone's ever renamed this many Gulfs in such a short period of time.
Well, you know, he spends most of his time playing golf.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
He's a big golf guy, isn't he?
I'm a big golf guy. I love playing golf. I play more golf than any president who ever lived.
You know, maybe that's why he's renaming. That's why he's renamed the Gulf of Mexico and the Persian Gulf. He's like, well, I want to go play there. Let's, you know, can't have it be the Mexicans' Gulf or the Persians' Gulf.
No, fuck.
But he doesn't know
We don't
that they're
like those
spelled
guys.
differently.
He doesn't know that. It sounds the same because he's got that New York accent. The guy can barely read. So Hormuz in the Persian Gulf. So if they because the Iranians, that's the big question. 20% of our oil goes to the Gulf of the Strait of Hormuz, and the Red Sea is controlled by, well, not controlled by, but it could be very inconvenient to pass through the Red Sea because of the Houthi rebels of Yemen. So
yeah, I mean, these are two critical choke points for global oil trade, right?
All right, so let's say we're talking 20 to 30% could be disrupted of oil in America, of the world oil supply disrupted, about 30%. Who does that hurt more? America or this weird or Russia or China? Who does it hurt the most? Because my tinfoil hat makes me think it hurts China the most. That's why we don't give a shit, because China relies on export and America
does not.
America,
Yeah, we've got enough oil here.
We got enough oil here for our needs, and we can make our own shit if we have to. And if China, what are we gonna do? Like, we won't get $30. We'll only have $2 for Christmas. Like, this is what Donald Trump thinks.
Yeah, it's interesting that the misalignment of the U.S. no longer with its European allies and now instead with Russia. It's this weird situation where, because Russia, I believe, is also oil independent. They're exporting their oil to other countries.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's now like what used to be like one of the only big red buttons that Iran had in terms of leverage internationally against the U.S. was we're gonna mine. They would say they're gonna mine the Strait of Hormuz. So you try to put any ships through there, the ships are going to blow up, right?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't really exist anymore if the U.S. doesn't care about what happens to Europe,
right?
And the U.S. doesn't like this. It's kind of a strange thing, and maybe this was Trump's master plan. Maybe this is
not Trump's master plan, but like the people who kind of own Trump. I think like Vladimir. Vladimir wants to hurt Europe. So if Putin wants to hurt Europe and Trump doesn't care because he's an agent of Russia. If he always hated, he hates Europe. He thinks Europe is only there for him to conquer again. He wants more. He wants USSR borders and then some. Well, you could get it. You could have it, Putin, in your lifetime if they're on their knees and poor. So what can you do? Just like Helen Aberg said, Helena, you're right. They don't have enough oil in Europe. They're fucked. China, fucked. America and Russia, we'll be all right. We'll tighten our belts.
I mean, oil and natural gas, I'm assuming, right? Not just oil.
Iran has way more natural gas. It's like a big natural gas provider. Yeah. So
yeah.
Like, I think Iran has the second largest natural gas reserves in the world.
Second.
Why isn't this accelerating
Saudi Arabia's number one
energy?
Why what?
Why isn't this accelerating alternative energy?
Because who for 30 years has been working against 40 years, 45 years since Reagan has worked against renewable energy, like lobbied against it, like actively poo-pooed global climate change and any move towards renewable energy. The Republican Party, the right wing, because they know when we're reliant on them that they've always been authoritarians. Like, I think that Ronald Reagan was just begrudgingly pro-America. You know what I mean? George W. Bush, definitely, he was another puppet. So, yeah, man, I think
if anything, the U.S. has a lot to gain here by global oil being disrupted. That's a lot of money for U.S. oil executives. We're an exporting country. We export oil. We have a lot of trade agreements with other exporting oil countries. Saudi Aramco. Like it's probably a good thing if the price of oil goes up for oil executives in the U.S. Right,
and bad for OPEC. All the oil producing what did OPEC stand for? And oil producing
and petroleum something cartel.
Cartel, yeah. OPEC nations, yeah. Those guys are screwed. Like, and except for the ones that gave Donald Trump a $400 million jet, Qatar is on the other side of the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, I think that's why we're up the butts of Qatar. Like, the fact that we're at war with one side of the Strait of Hormuz, we'll conquer them eventually. We'll have boots on the ground. We'll control the Strait of Hormuz with our friends, the Qatari, and our new 51st state, the Iranians.
Man, that would be crazy. Iran as a state, that would be absolutely.
Well, they'll never be a real state, bro. It'll be like Iraq or Afghanistan. Yeah, like an occupation. We'll be there until all three of us are dead. We'll have soldiers in Iran. There's no fucking way we're not going to.
So you think
this is a country of like this is a country of almost 100 million people. Like this is kind of hard to even fathom that we would have.
For now, Dre, there's 90 million people living there. For now.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll see. I mean, another thing is, Iran is a country that has conscription, mandatory military service for every man over the age of 18. You're looking at a country where
they know how to use
almost half the population has already served in the military, is military trained, probably wouldn't be that happy about a foreign occupying force.
Israel controls their skies. There's nothing they can do.
Yeah, we controlled the skies in Afghanistan too, and 20 years later, who's in control?
But I'm curious, if US declares war on Iran or something, does that mean that NATO has to intervene? NATO will have to intervene, right? And NATO has to declare war on Iran, right?
If Iran actually successfully launches a campaign against some country that's a NATO ally,
which is US.
Do you think Iran is going to be able to successfully attack the US?
Not necessarily. So wait, so if US declares war on Iran,
they won't.
But if they do, does NATO still have to intervene, or NATO only has to intervene if Iran attacks US?
The North America Treaty Organization is all about protecting so everyone has to have their military up to a certain level so that we can help each other in times of need. So the idea is you attack one of us, you attack all of us. But America has not been attacked. None of our bases have even been attacked. Iran hasn't even retaliated yet. I think they will.
I just opened the Guardian and they said that they will retaliate.
Yeah, they say they will, but
they've been saying they will. Iran has been saying we will retaliate against the US for as long as Israel has been saying that Iran is 2 days away from a nuclear weapon.
Yeah, so like
and little do you know that maybe that's their whole plan. Maybe Trump or maybe J.D. Vance is actually an agent of Iran. You don't even know it. And maybe that's their retaliation.
I need more tinfoil for my hat.
Yeah, I need tinfoil for that one. But I don't see NATO getting involved unless something crazy happens. But look, if we end up I think 100% sure we'll have people there. And what you said about 20 years later, look who's in charge, the Taliban. And by the way, our occupation of Afghanistan and Iraq gave rise to ISIS. ISIS happened because of our involvement over there. So yeah, we're going to cause more problems. Dude, we're going to cause more problems than we solve. But 20 years is a long time. 20 years we'll be in Iran controlling their shit and fighting. We'll have the death number of how many Americans are dead over there. It'll tick over every day. We'll have more and more. We'll have recruitment centers everywhere. Maybe we'll bring back the selective service. We'll bring it back. We'll call up the reserves. We'll send them over there just like we did in Iraq. 20 years later, you're right. Guess who's going to be in charge? Some Ayatollah type person, some religious freak job will be in charge. But you know what? all the people alive right now are going to make a shitload of money. We're going to make so many billionaires off of occupying Iran while we blow it up, while we're rebuilding it, and rebuild it while we're blowing it up.
Can I ask something? Because I'm, I've never been much into politics or history because I just think people are stupid the way they behave in general. So I like reading about how stupid people behave in stupid situations doesn't really bring me any peace. I generally just love reading logic and stuff. But anyway, I'm like, I always liked US. I always felt like US was the symbol for freedom, for democracy, for they stand up for what is right or whatever. But I'm feeling lately like less of that. Like when I think about US lately, I think about more oppression. That's the word that comes to mind right now.
That's a problem with our symbol of our flag. Johnny, what do you mean? Sucks that it sounds like you all are for defending the bullies. What do you mean by that? I'm curious what you mean. Sorry. Chip, I think you're right. That's why people burn the American flag.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm curious. Has this always been the issue, now I'm just aware of it?
Of course, it's always been this. Is our marketing good enough to make it look like our oppression is actually liberation? That's what it's been at least the last like 70, 80 years, right? That's been the trend.
Or also like, or to sell our brand of fascism in a way that so usually there's a humanitarian component, right? Usually what happens is when we go to war, we're like, hey, what we want is their oil. So we got to come up with some excuses. Time for regime change. They're gassing their own people. Oh, there's also an imminent threat with weapons of mass destruction. It's always been that. But you have to sell us on all of those things, because then you get enough people. You know what? They're gassing people. And that'll fly with the New Yorkers. But we need the oil. That'll fly with the Texans,
But it's not just like, I understand the US has done shit. Like, I feel like politicians do shit. That's, as I said. But the problem that I have is I feel like now, maybe the difference is that now, if I see interviews with people on the ground, a lot of them are supporting all this, but it feels like they're not supporting all this out of fear of what could happen, or like it was with Afghanistan or Iraq. Like, I feel like people were supporting. When I would see interviews, I would see people scared of maybe they attack us, we're trying to do whatever, defending ourselves.
9/11, 9/11.
Yeah, now it just feels like when I see interviews of people defending this kind of shit, they're just literally like the far right assholes who just want to win. We beat you, okay? I don't care. I'll support whatever because we beat you. Like, what kind of mentality is that? And I just feel like that's, maybe I'm just only seeing these interviews, but that's just the type of thing that when I think about US now, I think of this type of person who's like, oh, we won, therefore it's okay. Like this person who, when they enter a debate, they don't enter a debate in order to have a conversation or get to a point, but rather to win it, I'm like, what?
It sounds what you're talking about is might makes right, which is something that America has supposedly been against for a long time. But really what you're talking about is fascism. Fascism has always been, look at the Nazis are the famous example, but look what they did. They militarized, they mechanized their military for technological superiority, and then they used it to make a little elbow room. We need a little elbow room, like Greenland. Greenland's probably shitting their pants right now. I would be. If I were Denmark, I'd be like, god damn, what's next? Why not take Greenland? Why not take Panama back? So that's what fascism is a worship of militarization as masculinity, because the military and winning is like, my masculinity has to be tied up into that. That's something that has been kind of known since the early days of, like, when fascism was new, like in the 1920s. That was what it was. Like the futurists, the original futurists, the Italian futurists, is like this proto-fascism. That was always it. Like, we love machines, we love winning, we love speed, we love fighting, and we love war. Yeah.
But so can we address these people and tell them, you won? You're right. You're the bigger man. You're the more masculine man. Can we move on? Like, can we just stroke their ego? Can we stroke their ego and move on? Like, I feel like I don't care. Can we just we have so many pressing issues in this world. I feel like this bullshit that's Like we came up with like ever since COVID, everything's fucked, and I'm missing the best years of my life because of these fucking assholes. And I can somebody just stop? I don't even know what to say.
What do you think,
like,
Trey?
you guys...
Can Chip just go back to bed, or does he have to stand up and arm himself and fight for freedom? What do you think?
Rome. Ancient Rome was functionally at war with Persia for, do you know how many years? You guys want to, you might know. You know how many years Rome, some form of Rome was at war with some form of Persia? The number of years.
It's like it's like a couple hundred years, right? Like always
700 years.
God damn it.
700 years with no more than a 15-year period of peace, and like breaking up that 700 years. 700 years. So you would, if you were toward the end of that period, you would know that your ancestors going almost as far back as is fathomable would have also been picking up a sword and going and fighting the Romans / Persians. I think you could still live your life. I mean, I just went on vacation. I had a good time. I didn't,
You went to Italy?
I mean,
you went to Rome?
clearly.
Yeah.
You went to Rome?
I went to Rome. I never really had taken a real vacation before in my life. So, and people are like, oh, Iran is being attacked. It's like, okay, well, I'm on vacation. I'll deal with it later.
Wait, Dre, we have to discuss. Is this your first time in Europe?
In mainland Europe and like non-UK Europe, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love Rome.
Is it better than US or worse than US?
People are not as nice.
Oh yeah,
Americans are just really nice. I feel like we're just really friendly.
No. Americans are face nice, but
no, man, I don't know. You know what I loved about Rome is that I could go, hey, I need a pack of cigarettes, and some kid would run up and be like, I'll go get them for you. You like, just give me €1, I'll go get them for you down the road, and they go give me cigarettes and they bring them back. Unbelievable. Or like, I love Rome. I'm a huge fan of Rome. It was fun. It was great. I mean, I was able to like speak Italian with people, and they were like, "Oh, wow, you speak Italian. Your pronunciation's so good."
Amazing. You speak Italian,
and it's easy to be vegan.
Italian. Yeah,
in Rome, there's lots of vegan options everywhere.
Good vegan restaurants in Rome. Really good vegan food.
I am officially intimidated by Dre. He can obviously.
Dre speaks a bunch of languages.
Chip
is muted, but we have. You speak a bunch of languages. I think it's great. I usually speak Spanish and German and English when I'm there. I can get by with 3 languages down there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great trip because I went to London first and then Rome, so I got to practice the language that they speak in England and the one they speak in Italy. It was pretty cool.
Got to practice the one they speak in England. Whatever language that is. Pardon me. Do you know where I can score some chips? Pardon me. It's a pittance. For this amount, it's a pittance. Well, that's awesome. I think it's so cool that you were there. I wanted to also ask you to switch gears. So are we in agreement that it's not ethical to bomb a country, even if you're only bombing their nuclear sites?
So I have 3 Iranian friends in total. 3.
Okay.
All of them are amazing people. All of them said their government is shit. And all of them say their whole country is a beautiful country with beautiful traditions, and all this whole shit is just horse shit invaded by big powers to fight each other.
Yeah.
So can we just let them be? I just genuinely, every Iranian person I met was an amazing person.
I think that ship has sailed. I've had a couple Persian girlfriends, but they
Come on, you're generalizing. I know.
I'm just joking. I live in an area with lots of Persians, and I've worked with a lot of Persians. I've been around a lot of Persians. I love them anywhere except when they're inside of a restaurant and they're ordering food. But you know what I'm talking about, Trey. You know why.
Oh, that's why Dre can grow a mustache so bad, so nice.
No, every person who's Iranian who lives here is always embarrassed of their parents and how they act in restaurants, because it's difficult. You have to have a lot of patience, but it's a cultural thing. I love Iran.
Isn't that for everybody?
I love Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal, when he was in Prince of Persia, he was such a great. I mean, he's Persian, right? So
yeah, he's so Iranian. Jake Gyllenhaal. He's a classic Iranian name. Jake Gyllenhaal.
I thought that's why they
ancient Persian name from the Achaemenid period. Actually,
I thought that's why they made him the Prince of Persia.
Not Jake. Yake
Gyllenhaal. Yeah. No, they're great. I love Sufi, right? Like Rumi, all the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. I've read lots of Persian poetry. Great shit, man. I don't think we should bomb them, but that doesn't make it ethical just because I like them, just because I like their culture and Jake Gyllenhaal.
No, it's just that there's no reason to bomb innocent civilians or even people in general. Just if you want to fight amongst each other, just
neither of you will tell me whether or not it's ethical to bomb these nuclear sites. Is that what I'm the only one taking a stand on this?
It's not. It's unethical.
I think it would be ethical to bomb nuclear sites if you started with your own nuclear sites and you bombed every nuclear site on the planet. Then it's probably ethical. But if you're choosing that one particular country can't have this weapon and Israel can have nukes, and it's fine for Israel to have nukes, and it's fine for the US to have nukes, but it's not fine for Sri Lanka to have nukes, and it's not fine for Iran to have it. This is random. This is arbitrary. This is not fair, I think. Either everybody gets nukes or nobody gets nukes.
Yeah, I feel like, in Star Trek, there's this thing called the Prime Directive, and it's you're not allowed to contact any culture that isn't already spacefaring with warp drive. You have to have this warp drive, which is like this antimatter drive that allows you to travel between the stars, go faster than light. You're not allowed to talk to anyone who doesn't have it. In fact, you have to remain secret. So you're not allowed to contact cultures that aren't as advanced. I feel like that's kind of like this. If you have the ability to mine, enrich, create, that's a technological ability that I think that gives you a different perspective, doesn't it? When you have nuclear capabilities, right? That you become part of a club, but we're like, no, you can't be in our club because XYZ.
But it's also, I would argue it's also unfair for somebody to bomb them, even if they bomb them for everyone. I think you need a consensus. You need to talk to everybody, right? We all talk about consent. Shouldn't there be some form of consent also in these situations?
Yeah, agreed. I think Donald Trump doesn't care about consent, though. Have you heard about the grab him by the pussy phenomenon?
The Eugene Carroll,
yeah, all the bad stuff. Okay, so man, I saw some right wingers say, well, he was rich, he had a supermodel, he could get any girl he wanted. Why would he rape Eugene Carroll? And it's like, dude, do I really need, it's unbelievable. People said the same thing about Michael Jackson. He could get any girl he wanted. Why would he fuck little boys? Dude, that's not anyway.
But why would being rich get you laid?
Ask Mick Jagger. I don't want to get off topic. I want to ask basically any rock star. Okay. But
that's because they're rock stars, not because they're rich. It's because they're on stage. They're playing
Elon Musk.
Thing. Oh, Elon Musk's a good example. There you go.
But nobody wants to fuck Elon Musk.
And yet, how many women has he gotten pregnant?
15 kids. He's got more than Erykah Badu.
Yeah, listen, but he does artificial insemination. Well, not. I'm sorry.
Oh, you think none of them were willing to actually sleep with him?
I think most of them were willing. Dre, I want to ask about the about the New World screw worm. The New World screw worm, which apparently is a parasite that
it's coming back.
That attacks.
So they're coming back to North America, right? And they're
in Panama.
They're coming back. They're coming back. They're spreading. They're increasing, and they're causing. I guess they're wreaking havoc because of the way that they lay their eggs, right? Which is they'll lay their eggs.
They're eating flesh, right?
Yeah.
Tell me, Dre. I don't get it. Tell me what a screw worm does for me and everybody else who doesn't know.
There's just these little guys who they hatch in flesh. Their eggs, the mother lays eggs in flesh, living flesh, typically living flesh.
Yeah.
And the little guys hatch, and they got to eat something, right?
Yeah.
They got to eat something. So they kind of screw themselves in. They corkscrew their way into the flesh, right? And they eat, and keeps them alive, and eventually they become adults, and they buzz around and they lay more eggs. And the problem is when they do this, it's extremely painful.
Yeah.
To the the flesh that they're living in, the animals that they're living in, right? Which is
But we don't care about their pain. Does it kill them? Does it make them more susceptible to other diseases or something?
I think
are they like
it can
flies?
it can be deadly, can't it? It can be deadly.
It is
Oh,
deadly.
so it kills some of them, I guess. Okay.
It can be deadly. I don't think it's 100% deadly, but it's often
it's
deadly,
not
right?
deadly in human beings if it's treated if it's I think if it's identified within 1 or 2 weeks, it's preventable. But if it's not identified, it kills the host. Yeah.
Oh, so but then why aren't we seeing huge amounts of livestock dead? I mean, like, isn't this? I mean, if it's
so it only goes into open wounds. So that means animals who have recently given birth also as a situation. So, but the reason why you aren't seeing a lot of it is because there aren't a lot of them. And that's because we not we eradicated them, but eliminated them from Northern America by inserting.
We fought them back. Yes.
Infertile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the plan. That's what the USDA had just said, right? Is they're gonna create insect farms.
Yeah.
Or they're gonna co-opt existing insect farms
in Mexico.
Some in the US is it all Mexico?
And I know that we want to keep them out of Mexico because we're afraid that because we've seen cases in Mexico, and I know that the USDA has agents down there now. Maybe part of it's I'm not exactly sure how the logistics of this works, but we have, yeah.
Well, so anyway, they're breeding infertile males, who, or I think the idea is that they're going to breed enough infertile males that when they're going to release them out so that those males will breed with the wild screwworm female flies, and then they will have eggs that are sterile, I suppose, is the concept.
That they still have eggs? They still give birth?
But I don't think the eggs will hatch. I think that's the way that works.
Yeah.
I thought
they can't produce.
I thought if we put for infertile males, they will still fight with the wild male population, kill them, and so that no one's mating. I thought that
no. They just can no longer reproduce. So they reproduce with the infertile males, and they no longer produce actual.
But what about all the fertile males? What happens to them? They just don't get lucky, and we hope.
Well, some of them will still get lucky, right? Some of them will.
Yeah, they slowly get replaced.
It's going to decrease the population, right? Because if you can imagine, if
we flood the zone with
mates,
exactly. And we continuously do that.
We're basically creating a bunch of incel fertile male screwworms, and the ones that aren't incels are the only ones that are going to be creating new clutches.
Yeah, we're doing the same to the mosquitoes that are carrying malaria. We're actually inserting the males that don't carry it, so that the gene that carries malaria dies off.
We kill. Well, not only that, the mosquitoes die off, and then all the amphibians that eat the mosquitoes, they die as well. But
no, but they don't die off. We do the same thing in this situation, not to produce infertile things, but to produce fertile ones that no longer carry malaria. But yeah, sorry.
Does this not sound like the plot to Jurassic Park, where they're only going to make infertile female dinosaurs, but unfortunately they got some frog DNA where they can switch their gender at some point, and they still end up doing does it seem like a good idea to have billions potentially of these infertile male screwworms we're letting fly around? Does that sound like a good idea?
I mean, I think the alternative is we just ramp up microplastic production, just like what we're doing with humans, and then everybody on Earth will be infertile, and that might take too long. So this is the next best thing, right?
Well, the alternative is to no longer, not consume animals, right, and to have a different protein source than animal flesh.
Yeah, well, maybe, right? Because there's still going to be wild animals that are getting lacerations that these screwworms are going to go live in. Like, they're still going to live somewhere.
Enough of them. Right, they're not going to be, because right now they have. It's kind of like you plant a bunch of grape. You plant a grape orchard, a vineyard, and the deer come because they love grape leaves. Now you got to shoot the deer because they're coming. It's like, well, we have all of these cows out in the public in places like Brazil, and the screwworms attack them, and we're like, well, we got to kill the screwworms. Now we have all the screwworms. But we wouldn't have had all these screwworms if we hadn't given them a food supply, which are the cows. right?
Especially since we forcefully inseminate them and they recently give birth, so therefore they're
and they're all giving birth at the same time, as closely as possible at the same time. We try to get them all to have babies of the same.
I mean, it's clearly the most unnatural. Like, it's clear that animal agriculture, being the most unnatural thing that we do, is causing the worst thing to nature and to us, right? Because it's a danger to both us and nature. But
so, Ethical Underground, how do we feel about this? Is this an ethical solution to the problem? To farm, breed insects who have been genetically modified and are infertile to breed
it's not ethical.
the
No.
wild population? No,
I don't think it is ethical, but I think it is a solution to the problem currently. It's not ethical.
Is it how is it unethical?
Because those individuals sentient, by the way?
There's a decent chance that they are. Let's assume for argument's sake that they are.
Then it's not fair to each individual sentient being, regardless of what the reason is, to use them as a means for your end because you don't like what they do, right?
So if they're just being released into the wild, like that's it, they're being hatched and released, like that is some kind of exploitation. Is that kind of the line of logic?
Well, their mothers were exploited at the very least, right?
Okay, yeah, I see that.
But that's not the only reason. I think it's a weird thing that I don't know. I think it's unethical to farm anybody, even if you are hatching and releasing, because you're still doing them as like it's like breeding soldiers or something in test tubes. Like,
I just don't see why do we have the right to do this? Like, why is it that we as humans all of a sudden? So we make this system, right? We exploit other animals, and in that process, we have issues because of we forget that there's a whole ecosystem there, and it impacts the ecosystem and other animals because we do this. And when I say ecosystem in this situation, I do mean the screwworms because they are individuals from the ecosystem. And why do we have the right? Because we want to maintain our way of living. We have the right to exploit other beings, to bring to life beings only so that they do what we want them to do to maintain our way of living. I don't think
it's interesting.
Like, we're behaving like it's our planet. And it has to be how we want it, right?
And these cows belong to us. We're the only ones allowed to kill the cows, not the screwworms. Only we can kill the cows.
Yeah, exactly.
Only Israel can have the nuke, not Iran. Only we can kill the cow, not the screwworm.
Only we can eat their meat. Yes. Only we can eat their meat, not the screwworms. Yeah,
that's interesting.
That's it. You're exactly right. Only we're allowed to kill the. We could slit their throats and shoot them in the head. But if I see one of you screwworms screwing around with my cows, screwing around with my livestock, totally, you're absolutely right. I mean, it'd be like killing all of the raccoons because they give our cows rabies, which they do. And let's kill all the raccoons because they kill our cows. Or let's kill all the wolves in Colorado because they kill calves. Let's kill all the large cats in Colorado. Like, this is fucking madness. It's madness.
But I was thinking today because we claimed this planet. It's pretty clear that because we somehow have the power, we were born with higher intellect or something, because some of us created some insane weapons, we claimed our planet for ourselves, right? And I'm just like, I feel like that's clearly unethical, is it not? Like, why is it that we as life forms are the only ones who should? I don't know. Like, why is it that we have
colonial
to decide for
thinking,
everybody?
man?
It's colonial thinking,
yeah, because we have better technology. We can go to America and kill the Indians. That land is ours because we have better technology. We have better technology than the cows, so we can kill the cows. We have better technology than the pigs, so we can kill the pigs or the screwworm or whomever. Also, is it ethical to even think about parasites for slaughter-bound animals? Like, we're not trying to stop parasites on deer ticks. We're not trying to kill all the deer ticks because we just not enough people get Lyme disease, so we don't care that much about the deer ticks, right? Like, we don't care enough because not enough humans get Lyme disease, but the ticks are killing the shit out of some deer, or they get moxie too. They get that mixie.
It's obviously for our interest, isn't it? Like, it's pretty clear that
for money.
It's about animal agriculture and money, right? But it's just, it's just so insane that, like, imagine this, right? We as a whatever species, we've already, I think, like the whole generation, most of people on this planet, they think that we as humans have the right to dominate this planet, that we should do whatever we want on this planet, and it is essentially our planet. Sure, there's animals on it too. They were there also, but it's our choice what happens to everybody, right?
It's just Aristotle. Yeah, I mean, every animal's born a slave, and human beings, and some humans, but it belongs to us.
But imagine that on top of that, we have this other, like, it's insane to me that people don't see this, because on top of that, we also have this other group, and it's called the humans with power, the humans who actually have power, oligarchs, who actually decide for all of humanity and all of the world. Essentially, the world is split up between a handful of humans, and animals are slaves to it, but so are essentially humans to that, right? Like, I mean, we're not really slaves, but we kind of.
I think we are. You always split hairs with this, but of course we're slaves. We have to work for money. We got to pay rent to some faceless
not really
bureaucrat.
Slavery, is it?
Some faceless evil bastard like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget is collecting my rent. I don't know who that is. Shell Point Mortgage Company. I don't know where they are or who they are. I just owe them money for some reason. And at some point,
you can buy a tent and go in the forest. Come on.
And it was Wells Fargo for a minute, and then it got sold to them. And like, they could just change. They could sell my mortgage to somebody else, to some other faceless monster that I'll never meet. Like, of course I'm a slave. Of course
you have some form of freedom. Come on, you can always not live in an apartment, right?
Yeah, I guess I could.
You have the freedom to be. You have the freedom to be homeless, guy.
Yeah, I have the freedom
for now. For now,
in this age of abundance and this atomic age of speed, you're right. I still have I could still go live half my life expectancy in the woods. Wow.
But I have
and they'll still fuck with me, by the way. They'll still fuck with me.
But the problem I have with calling, like, I agree with you that there's a problem there. It's just that the problem I have with calling what we, like, our issue as slavery is because the actual slavery that happened a while ago, the actual slavery that still happens maybe in parts of the world, it's not what we're going through. I mean, let's face it, it's actual property status, actual lack of freedom. Come on.
You don't think that they own us? Why can't they tell me where to go? Why do I have to carry a passport that only allows me to travel to certain places? Of course they own me. I have a bigger cage, Chip. I have a bigger cage.
There's always limitation. Like, if you want to live in a society, you will always have limitations to it, because you will depend on other individuals. Like, for example, take for instance, you want to buy avocados, but you don't know how to grow avocados. You will always go to this person who grows avocados. But this person who grows avocados can essentially always tell you that if you come any other time other than Wednesday, I will not sell you an avocado.
The person selling avocados doesn't get to tell me, okay, you could buy avocados from me, but if you go too far away, I'm going to kill you. Or if you're not allowed to leave this neighborhood if you buy avocados from me.
I mean, like, clearly there's issues with the land and the travel. I agree with you with that, but I don't think that makes us slaves necessarily. It makes us under a form of oppression, but
we're
I wouldn't call it
subjects
slavery.
to a king. We're serfs, man. Like, I don't know why people who are in the liberation movement, let's call veganism a liberation movement, or I think we're part of a liberation movement, and yet we stop short of anarchy. We stop short of anything that's like, oh yeah, but we gotta have cops. Oh yeah, but we gotta have people at the top telling you what to do. Like, that's fucking crazy.
It's a bit of a nirvana fallacy, and also I think, like, a society, like, the roles we have in society aren't necessarily bad. It's the abuse of power that is bad from those roles. So I don't subscribe to this idea of dismantling everything and rebuilding everything from the scratch, whereas we might end up essentially in the same point. I do very much love incremental updates where we're like, oh, police officers are doing that, and maybe remove the power from police officers, and police officers should be doing this, because I feel like
officers are the tip of the spear. You've still got all of this other shit going on. You have these power structures that need to be completely dismantled. The police are just the boils on the ass of fucking capitalism. It's the police are just the part
But
that hurts.
police exists also in outside of capitalism. Let's be clear. I mean, we had police in Romania. There was no capitalism. 100%.
Still an authoritarian structure. That wasn't like true communism or anything. Come on, like it just okay. Forget about.
But there is malicious intent, right? Like
feudalism, capitalism, Eastern European communism. It's all authoritarian. It's all totalitarianism. It's all the same.
It is
American fascism.
But there needs to there will always be people with malicious intents, and I personally don't want to fight people, so I would much rather pay a little bit of money to the government so that these individuals patrol. Whether they always do a successful job is a different thing, but whether they patrol and at least try to keep me safe, right? At least try to do that, right? The idea isn't bad.
The idea is bad as long as it's not from a liberation standpoint, right? We need to be all on principle about liberation. Like if the police are patrolling to make sure everyone's free and that no one's fucking with everybody else, fine. But that's not what they're doing. And that's not their purpose. That's not their stated purpose. That's not what they do at all. To say like, oh, we might need some form of government that collects taxes, that's not inherently totalitarian. Even in anarchy circles, read some anarchist literature. It's a lot about electing smaller groups in local communities in order to accomplish something that you're talking about, but to keep someone from outside from killing us, or keep someone from outside from doing something to oppress us. Yeah, we all understand that elections need to happen and there needs to be something holding us all together. Yeah. But just say like, oh, we need some incremental change. No, we need a fundamental understanding that liberation is the answer, and to push back on all forms of authoritarianism and question that fucking authority every single time. They have to justify themselves.
I agree with you on that one. They have to justify themselves. Mike, I was starting to speak Romanian there. Only that I don't like. I felt to. I guess how we get there is the issue, right? Because you say dismantle everything and rebuild it, but if you dismantle everything and rebuild it, it's not like out of this whole system, it's not like I would say like I don't know, 20% is the issue. 80% of it does have some good foundation. So if you tear down 100%, tear down that 20% and rebuild that, right?
No one's talking about tearing down all the libraries and all the courthouses and all. I'm saying there needs to be a fundamental change and shift in the way we do things.
Yeah, we need to refactor everything. We need to refactor everything. 100%.
Everything, yeah. And that's a revolution. I mean, Dre, we were talking about Iran earlier. What do the police do in Iran? What was that little women's uprising they had in Iran a few years back? What was that all about?
Yeah, that was Zan Zendegi Azadi, right? Which was the women life freedom protests, and police were forcing women to wear their chador, their head covering, and if they didn't, then you would go to jail. Possibly, you might be beaten. In the case of Mahsa Amini, she was killed because she didn't want to, because she was wearing a head covering, but some of her hair was showing apparently, and that was enough for her to be killed. But for most people, it's, you could end up thrown in jail.
She was thrown in jail and killed in jail. That's what happened, right? She got killed by police in jail. Because
those are cops doing that.
Those are cops.
They're special. They're morality police, is what they call them.
Morality police.
Morality. Yes. They're ethical police. They should be on the show. They should be ethical overground.
Yeah,
it's the morality police.
Yeah, that's what we need, Chip. We need police because they don't always end up like this, do they? They're not like that in America, are they? Somehow, I see that in America every fucking day now. There's no difference. Right now, do you know why she had the haircut? I read this book called Reading Lolita in Tehran, or Tehran, if you will, but I'm American.
There's no cha in Tehran, man. Just so you know, man. There's no cha.
Go ahead, say it the way they say it there.
Tehran. Not Tehran. There's no cha.
Tehran.
They say it 3 syllables. They say Tehran.
No, they don't, man. It's Tehran. Before Simigim, Tehran. Tehran. It's 2 syllables.
Tehran. Tehran.
All right, well, let. I'm American. I'm gonna call it Tehran. All
I'm
right,
American too. I'm just saying, not Tehran, bro.
Well,
There's
I
no
don't have a linguistic background with the language. So listen,
Look at
in
you,
Tehran, I read this
Americans.
book called Reading Lolita in Tehran, and they were even saying in this book, it was written by someone from there, that sometimes they'll show their hair as like a rebellious thing, kind of like when I was in Catholic school, the girls would take their skirts and roll their skirts so their skirts would be shorter, even though they were in uniform. Those skirts kept on getting shorter. Same act of rebellion, but in Iran, it might get you killed. Here in America, you can cross a border and be a law-abiding neighbor of mine and still end up in the back of a truck by people who neither have badges nor badge numbers and don't even show their faces or identify themselves in any way. And those people, who knows what happens to them? They could be in a concentration camp. They could be on the 10th floor of that court building, the justice building. They could be anywhere. They just disappear them. We kidnap people off the streets in America. Those are cops.
That's why everybody I speak to, I actually was at a birthday party and we were talking about because going to US, and I kid you not, everybody's scared specifically of this.
You're scared.
Everybody's scared of being taken off the street.
In Portland, they're go ahead, Trey.
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say at Ava, there were speakers who didn't come to the Animal and Vegan Advocacy Summit to the US because they were concerned that they would be arrested if and deported if they even landed in the US.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Or just held
Land
at the
of the
border.
free.
It's a big pain in the ass. Who wants to run the risk? You can't go. I don't want to go to a Walmart because I saw someone with long guns. I saw a team of dudes with long guns beating the shit out of a Walmart employee. They're beating the shit out of the employees because he said, "Hey, don't touch that old man." Like, I don't want to go to a Home Depot because I just don't want to be there when there's guys with AK-47 looking rifles, AR-15s, or where the fuck they got. I don't want to be around it. A swap meet, Santa Fe swap meet. They came in, they arrested a bunch of people. No one's going there anymore because no one wants to be around that. This is a police state.
It is a police state, yeah. I think
Karina's brown as fuck. You think I want to bring her where she's gonna get fucked with by these cops and I gotta be like, hey, she's a citizen. They don't care.
But I really want to get back to the slaves thing because it's something that I actually am. It comes up in the Discord debates often, as you know, Sky, because I've been doing Discord debates a lot, and yeah, I know your opinion on them. But this whole slave thing, I feel like, because can we just at least name it something else? Because it's not. Again, I feel like it doesn't do it justice to the individuals who were actually slaves, right? Who were bred to be slaves, who were exploited in ways that during chattel slavery that was happening.
There were no there was some propaganda about breeding facilities in the South, but when the North came through, there were no breeding facilities. That was all bullshit. You don't have to breed. Turns out humans fuck. You don't have to breed them to.
But okay, but like you can definitely agree that those people, the lack of freedom and the status property that they had is nothing compared to what we have, right? Like it's pretty clear. You having to have a passport is not the same as them not being able to leave a property, own anything, and literally their fate being decided by their slave owner.
Okay, so you say it's not the same as what you said. Okay, then define how it's different.
How is it different? Well, again, you still have the freedom to leave US. Like you have the freedom to leave US, correct?
If I get a special piece of paper,
you have
enough money. And if the country I'm going to accepts me, so there's a lot of ifs there. So no,
yeah, but those ifs always existed, right? Like society has been built on this.
For me, as a white man, I can probably be okay. Don't worry about me. You're right. Sure, as a white man, I have less of a claim to oppression than others. I'm perfectly all right with saying that. But Chip,
I'm not saying that everything happens to you or everything that you have to go through is fair, but you can't call it slavery.
Is it slavery?
Let's define slavery, because it sounds like you guys might have two different definitions. What is each of your definitions of slavery?
I'll Google slavery just because I don't have a definition in specific, so I'll just use the definition.
I'll go with whatever definition's there, but I think slavery is the
state
ownership.
Being a slave.
The state of being a slave. That's a perfect definition.
All right, I think that being entrenched in slavery is being owned or controlled by somebody else.
Is owned by another.
You're owned by somebody.
So the condition in which one human being is owned by another. Yeah.
Yeah, I think anyone, of course,
functional property.
Yeah. So are you So are we properties of somebody else? I don't think we are.
Yes.
If you say that us being citizens means we're the properties of the government, I don't agree with that.
You know, in the army, whenever people would get injured, we would joke about, "Hey, man, you're damaging government property."
Right.
Because there's this joke that anyone in the military is property owned by the U.S. government.
That's why they call them GIs, general issue.
But by that logic, everybody's a slave, right? The minute if you go by that, everybody's a property of the government. Therefore, everybody's a slave.
Are you quoting Marx right now, Chip? You better be careful because you sound like a communist.
I haven't read Marx.
You are quoting Marx right now. Right now, you're quoting Marx that under capitalism, all of us are owned, all of us are slaves.
Not under capitalism, under everything. I feel like we all of the time
Instagram. Don't they own us too, in a way?
Instagram, yeah, kind of. They're selling our eyeballs, selling our attention.
They own data about you, but they don't own you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you, man. In the European Union, you can choose for your data to not be shared, and you have the legal right to ask them to remove that data.
Look, man,
you have the right to ask them. Do they have to do it?
Yeah, they have to do it. Yeah, they are not allowed to keep. I mean, of course, they could keep your data in a Chinese server or something, of course, where the European Union basically doesn't have any jurisdiction. But I mean, come on,
as soon as you are given a birth certificate, the state owns you. It's true. There's a big movement called the sovereign movement, where a bunch of Americans don't want a social security card, they don't want a birth certificate, they don't want any of that. They don't want to be involved because of this. Now, I think that's extreme, but by principle, I agree with them.
So let's put it this way: we as humans, I think there's even an episode in South Park where they dismantle everything and they start building everything all the way back, right? And they realize that they're starting to build all the systems that they already had in place, right?
Yeah.
Like we were talking about police and all this stuff, right?
Yeah, so all roads lead to authoritarianism if we're not careful. Yeah, I did a whole speech about
authoritarianism. I'm saying, like, essentially a large portion of the society that we built has some form of good intent. The fact that there are individuals who have taken advantage of that and
dude, hold on a second. You said, what did you say? The society that we have built. Though, like the fact that you get the weekends off or only work 8 hours, that was won through blood. We had to win that privilege from the powerful. They're still in charge, and they're always adversarial to us. You don't think that they would gladly pay you less and work?
But how would you make it work? How would you make it work otherwise? Like there was at the first, when there wasn't money, there was trade, wasn't there? Like I would give you this product that I make, and you give me that product that you make, correct? Like there was always some form of trade.
There always will be. This is not about commerce. What do you like? Trade and commerce always exist. That has nothing to do with our rights and being liberated.
So wait, in a situation where there's only trade and commerce, right? There's a whole world built only on trade and commerce. Everybody just trades with each other. There's an individual who's born outside of the society. He doesn't know what to do anything, and he doesn't go to that school where they teach him how to do anything. If he wants to join the society, does he become a slave to everybody because he doesn't know how to build anything? Therefore, how can he benefit from anything that the society has, right? Like the whole point, I feel like I agree that some people have taken advantage of this idea of money, and they're essentially trying to get so much power out of it.
That person,
but I don't think that makes us slaves. I just think that they're trying to make us slaves, but I don't think that makes us slaves.
That person still has the ability on whatever they have to build social capital. There's no reason that they can't do whatever they need to do, because there is no actual capital. This is the thing. Commerce and trade might be fine, but owning a piece of land and making other people pay you to use it for doing nothing, that goes away. Because it's theft. We all own the land. There's all sorts of models about this, but again, to like try to explain every single facet of anarchist ideas. By the way, assuming that it's all going to be a pure form of that would be ridiculous, right? We're going to have some negotiation, but we always have to be at the negotiation table from the perspective of liberty and freedom. And if you want to take that,
yeah, but you're not negotiating with an individual, are you? You're negotiating with social rules that everybody adheres to, right? You're negotiating like
that's why we're slaves.
But that's not why we're slaves. That's exactly. But that's exactly what a civilized society is supposed to do. Because when you have a lot of people,
who calls it civilized?
No, but let me put it this way, Sky. When you have a lot of people and you need to create new rules, everybody has to agree to those rules. And in order if you have an idea for a rule, you do have to, I mean, when I say fight for it, you do have to somehow make your case for that idea. You have to understand the whole point. And we live in a society that has so many complex rules now.
You say those. Why do they have so many complex rules? And why do we have all those complex rules? Because I would wager.
Because when people created new rules, they didn't look at the old rules, dismantled them, and created new ones.
I would bet you any sum of money that most of the rules that we care about, that's just human nature. We already have the rules that we all agree on. You don't need to have all these extra rules like, well, if you have this piece of paper, it means this. And if you don't have that piece of paper, that means I'm going to murder you. Like these.
Oh, Sky, there's a person that, again, comes almost every week I do activism, who thinks murder and rape are moral. Because if he wants to do that, it's okay. And he said that the only thing keeping him from doing that is the fact that there are laws.
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't know how true it is, but I'll tell you this. It wouldn't take long for just regular old folks, no cops at all, to murder that guy. You know what I mean? And it's not, you don't need this whole system to say that rape is wrong. We all know it's wrong.
But then you get into this other place where groups of individuals who have a problem, because that's also what our brain does, isn't it? If you see an individual of a certain color bothering you, or if you see news about an individual of a certain color, then all of a sudden you can group with everybody else who's the same color as you and say, you see, the problem is those. So then if we don't have a society where we decide on rules together, then those individuals can say, well, you know what? We're going to kill every individual who has a different skin color.
That's called fascism again.
But that's a result of not having rules.
No, that is a result of the system of rules. The way that works is the people who are in control, like Donald Trump for now, or you could take Hitler. Hitler's a good example because he said, hey, I'm making the rules now. And you know what? It's going to be a new golden age as soon as we get rid of those fuckers.
But Donald Trump is not following the rules. Let's be clear. He's not following the rules.
He makes the rules.
He doesn't make the rules. He's bought the fact that he has so much power right now is not something constitutional, as you've explained, right? Like, and the fact that there is a loophole in it and that he can do so much means that this should be looked into, patched, so that any president who comes going forward cannot have that much power.
Yeah, but he's already successfully eroded all the faith we have in our own constitution, and it has no teeth as long as Congress doesn't do anything. So, like, the fact that we have these rules and this way of life and all these great things about America, that is what has kept us just an inch away from fascism. We've always flirted with fascism. We've always been fans of it. But the Constitution has always just kept us just a little bit away from it successfully. But as soon as that's gone, guess what? The guys in charge, the rules mean whatever they want now. The Supreme Court literally just said that it's okay that he called up the National Guard and deployed them against California and against our consent. That's an issue. Crazy.
But
and the reason why that happens is because all of those, we've created these rules, we've created this oppression, and then a policy change, we all have to fall in line. There's nothing we can do about it. The cops and everything were there. The system was there. You get one guy in charge, it's over. It's the same thing with passports, right? I harp on this a lot because the thing is, once we all agree, okay, we all have to have passports, all it takes now to control everyone's movement, everybody in America, is one dude to say, different policy now. We just banned, 36 countries from coming here?
But Scott, you can't clump all of it together. You just can't, right? Because you can't say that, for example, signs on the road, which have to be unified in order for you to be able to drive from one point or another, which means you have to have a central authority or something, or some form of commonality of somebody to create the signs, somebody to maintain the signs, and somebody to update the signs or create new signs if needed, right? Like that's an example where you do need some form of centralization to work for all of it.
Does that mean we need profit motive? What does that mean?
No, but all that, like in order to create that sign, you will have to have some metal. In order to get that metal, you have to pay. So in order that, you need to pay some form of money. So when you pay that money, somebody needs to take care of that money so that part of it goes to making the signs. Like the system itself logically has some merit to it. I agree that there are issues with it.
If everyone on Earth got $10,000 a month, universal basic income for every human on Earth, does that mean there's no more signs on the roads?
Oh, that's not what I'm. How did you? That's a non sequitur. It doesn't follow.
It isn't a non sequitur because it doesn't mean. What I'm trying to say is that just because there is a revolutionary change, a sea change in the way we do things, doesn't mean we just abandon road signs. We just stop building roads. We stop having safety. We stop having OSHA. We stop.
Okay, maybe I don't understand what you mean then. What do you mean by dismantle it and rebuild it? Because dismantle it to me says take down even the institution that built signs and remake
institutions
it, right?
become accountable to the people.
It's more about social norms, isn't it? Right? It's about what social norm is being enforced socially. Italy is a great example. I was just there. They have road signs. They do.
Yeah.
But they don't matter. This is what I learned. I had a rental car. I was driving around. It seems that the road sign doesn't matter. You can drive on the opposite side of the road if you want. And it seems like it's fine. You can just go the other way. It's a free for all. It's people. The signs are there, but still it doesn't matter. So it's about.
So what do we need?
Social norms.
Yeah.
Do we need somebody to reinforce those laws so that people who want to drive on the opposite road cannot?
They have cops.
Yeah, but the cops don't reinforce it. It's the same issue in Romania. We have cops, but if the cops don't reinforce the rules, then the rules don't make any sense. You're right. So you see, this whole system works hand in hand. Rules work hand in hand with having somebody to reinforce the rules.
No, America murders against the law. People still murder. America, we have all sorts of.
But there will always be people. There will always be people who even if there are
always
people who
people who break the sign rules. It won't matter. Those cops aren't doing shit.
But it removes the average, you know. So take for instance in Netherlands, everybody respects the signs. You know why? They put 30 kilometers per hour speed limit all over Amsterdam, and if you go over it, you get a huge fine
if they catch you. But that's the thing. Just like what Dre was just saying, that's a social norm to defend. That's like Saxon law versus Roman law, right? Roman law. In Rome, it's all about the spirit of the law. Hey, there's a red light here so that I'm careful at this intersection.
Okay.
But in Germany and the Netherlands, they're like, no, it's red. I stop and I wait. And in America, there's a little bit of a mix.
I agree with you. So I agree with you on this one, right? Like, I feel like laws cannot just be like the reinforcement of laws cannot be done in we have to reinforce this law, right? You can't be like this. You have to. When I ran a red light on my bike and the police officer stopped me, I told them, what the hell are you doing? There was nobody in the intersection. I didn't put anybody in danger. Why are you fining me for a law that doesn't make sense? Why are you going like the whole point of like, are you for Nazis or stuff? Like I literally told him that because I said like you're just following rules without the reason. Of course, the police didn't say anything but give me a fine.
Though, look at UK freedom fighter. What happened to become unmanageable? We are the cattle prodded by the system every day. It's our benefit though. It's all for our benefit though. So don't worry, move along. Nothing to see. Is that?
It's not like that. It's not like that. But
like
you know. It's just like, guys, if you've ever been to Bucharest, everybody takes the law in their own hand there. Police practically does nothing there. Okay, we have laws, but nobody reinforces them. So go ahead and go there and see if it's actually nice. It's not. Because people,
it's
when
not
you have
for lack
laws,
of cops,
they're
it's
not
for lack of money, bro. It's that they're not as rich in look, you could come to
there's several rich assholes there. What do you mean? It's the reason why it's not nice is because people
we
just
all
break
have
the
enough
rules.
money. But if you go to Mississippi and they don't, it looks like a shithole. They probably got the same number of cops, but they drive around in shit cars and the shit roads, and it's just because they're
the problem. But
different
Sky,
economic status.
But it's not the economy that I think the issue is. There's people who have money there. The roads are good. It's just the problem is that nobody follows the signs. You want to bike on the bike lane? Oh, guess what? Cars are going to go on the bike lane.
So your answer is more cops
there. Well, my idea is fine them so they no longer, like, some people just don't understand anything but fines.
And Donald Trump says National Guard. That's what will do it.
But that's not the same thing. Violence over something, like, you can't just peg all of it under one thing.
National
right?
Guard hasn't
like
done any violence.
No, but you can't say that a cop finding somebody for driving on the bike lane is the same thing as the Donald Trump sending the National Guard to California because he felt threatened or something, right?
Yeah, it's the same
like, it's
thing.
not the same thing.
He thinks that everyone should go home. They shouldn't be in the street.
One is clearly a rule being broken. One rule that makes sense to the system.
Burned
one
a
rule that
Waymo.
makes.
Did you see those Waymos on fire? All right, we got to bring on Crystal, and I want to see if I want to know. Yeah. Okay, I want to ask Crystal how come no one wants to do a FOIA? And if she says about the vigil. You guys ever do a vigil before? Oh. Crystal is abroad.
Hey.
Wow. Hey.
How are you guys doing?
Hey, how are you?
You got the press vest.
I'm reporting live from the Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown LA. It is quiet out here. This is the first time I've been out here where there's only two people who are somewhat demonstrating, but not really demonstrating. They're more, I think, trying to appeal to the police out here. They're just kind of chit-chatting with them, and I haven't approached them yet to see if they want to talk. But
is that a National Guard behind you? Not a guardsman?
what do you think?
I'm not sure. Over your right shoulder, I think that guy's a National Guard. That guy's National Guard for sure. Yeah, I don't think he's a Marine.
Those definitely look like scary guns for sure. I don't know if I saw them with those guns before, but yeah.
I thought we weren't allowed to be afraid. Are we?
Well, what should I say? Those look like anger and inciting guns.
They look like an escalation. That guy walking behind you with a large assault rifle. So Chip thinks that we should have more of that in order to keep order.
I don't say we should have more of that. Stop. God damn it. You're strawmanning my position, Sky.
Because people see that spray paint on the walls. Crystal, is that spray paint? Can you tell me what that spray paint says behind you?
There's some spray paint that says "fuck ICE." There's bitches ACAB. There's actually on the other wall as you come in, it says "Death to America," which
wow.
I mean, but I also feel like they leave up those messages and they scrub away other messages, like, and especially that's an argument that some people have made, is that knowing that there's going to be press here, they purposefully leave up graffiti in order to sort of make people angry at protesters who are graffitiing and stuff. But you'll see all along, like, there was other graffiti around the federal building where there's not a whole lot of press that they've scrubbed away. So
there you go, Chip. There's your police at work, making sure that no one graffitis. Is anyone graffitiing there right now that you can see?
No.
Is anyone with spray paint? So
Crystal,
it's working.
Exactly. Is this at an ICE facility?
Yes, this is where they bring detainees.
Yeah, the nameless people that they're taking in. That's what. How else can we keep them from crossing a border without them? How do we maintain without having this happen? they're a necessity of our society.
No, they're not. They're not. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying if you deny one part of the system doesn't mean the whole system is bad.
Principles, though, I think that how do we keep people from crossing borders if we don't use them as slaves? I mean, this is the other issue now. Don't we own those people that are in that detention center?
Crystal, are you a slave?
In some ways, I guess. Any woman is a slave under patriarchy, aren't we?
Okay.
Good, a woman's perspective. There you go, Chip. Of course she's a slave under patriarchy, right? She's a second-class citizen.
I'm a wage
Crystal
slave
is
in many
Kai,
ways.
okay. Yeah. Crystal, is Kai a slave?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. He's probably in a lot of ways more slave. Actually, Sky has a house, which I don't have a house.
I have a mortgage.
So,
I don't own that.
but you could sell the house and you'd probably be able to pay off the mortgage and you'd probably be able to buy a place to live.
Probably, yeah. You'd have to live in the woods, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
So
have
Sky
to
is not
sell
a
my
slave.
stonks, my Calmaine stonk, and in order to buy a house, and I could only buy a house in a very affordable neighborhoods, probably somewhere.
So you could also buy a house soon. So you're also
Okay,
not
but
a
wait a
slave.
second. Just owning a house doesn't make you not a slave unless you own capital. So if I owned a house that I rented out, I would say I'm getting close to not being a slave anymore. But as a wage slave and as a person who has unpopular opinions, definitely. I mean, all that's what I don't get. Like, all four of us have unpopular opinions, who are perfect. Who the hegemony is perfectly willing to hammer us down. What's on your shoulder?
I just think it.
Crystal?
Yeah.
What is on my shoulder?
Your right shoulder.
On the other
It sounds
side.
like- what are those giant things? Yeah, what is that?
It's just like Velcro.
Do you have Kevlar?
I don't believe it's Kevlar. I don't think this will do anything to prevent me from getting shot.
Maybe
If anything, it makes you more of a target, doesn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
the foam projectile might be fine. So no violence there, huh?
Oh no, yeah, it's very peaceful. The two other people just arrived with signs. One was saying I was just following orders, was not accepted, an all accepted
like that.
excuse at the Nuremberg trials. So I can go over and see if they want to talk to us.
I like that. I mean, I'd love to know what they think about the Nuremberg trials and how it relates to Tom Homan, if they think we'll see him swinging from the end of a rope. You think, we were talking earlier, just hot takes, Crystal, because I know you can't stay long. What do you think about Iran? Is it ethical to bomb Iran?
Probably not a good move. This was not our fight. You know, I don't. So even though I really want to take out the Ayatollah, I don't think this was a great move and can only lead to escalation.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's like we're plenty good at fighting wars by just selling our armaments to forces that we want to do our bidding. Why didn't we do that? It's like we wanted to take credit. But it'll be interesting to see if this could play out in a lot of different ways. So,
How do you feel about screwworms?
I'm strong opposed.
Strong opposed to screwworms.
Okay.
To what? Which part? To breeding them and introducing them into the.
You know, here's the thing. We already created this problem using science, and we're going to, again, try to use science to get ourselves out of this problem. If you're going to use science, I feel like breeding sterile screw arms is probably the way to go to deal with the situation. But you also have to stop solving the problem that's put in front of you and ask if it's even a problem that needs to exist to begin with, and that is animal agriculture, and just signifies our need to move away from animal-based methods of food production. So,
speaking of animal-based methods of food production, you were at a vigil. Do you think stuff like that is a useful form of protest, or any hot takes on your vigil experience and the Manning?
So what do vigils do? They embolden activists. They're an opportunity to bring activists together. Is it very effective? It was interesting to get the perspective of the community to the vigil, and it was overwhelmingly supportive to the vigil. There was only one person who came by who said, "More meat," but that was it was interesting because I think there's such this strong support of protest right now that even a slaughterhouse vigil, people were like, anybody who's out there protesting is, to be applauded. So I think that's what the perspective was, which is good for activism. It's also an important opportunity for somebody like me who has a different perspective about animal rights to get to talk to a group of activists and share my perspective, which I did. And unfortunately, I did live stream it, but my mic was not connected appropriately. And so it's just a garbled mess of just voices instead of the conversations that we were having.
So vigils as a form of kind of solidifying the movement as a method to get people out there. I get that, but do you think that there's something kind of where the rubber meets the road? Does it help animals? I mean, that's something that we ask a lot on the show, right? The efficacy of protest, of different forms of protest.
There's ways to make it better, I think. This was a peaceful demonstration for sure, but the conversations that were being had were not that productive, which is something that we need to do more to go and have those productive conversations. The conversations that were had were mostly centered around food, which is very uninteresting to the vast majority of people. Instead, I think it should be centered around more of the corruption, but
Corruption, yeah, and I think again, slavery, I think is a good one. Corruption and enslaved animals owning others.
Yeah, I can talk to you. That's fine.
I've been trying to contact the news media for years.
Oh yeah.
It's like she's
The
got
Department of Justice is using lasers on us. Homeless black homeless. I got hit. I have a chip in my
lasers. What kind of lasers?
You ever see that stuff they use in Star Trek?
Yeah.
When they hit the gun, and I got hit with red, something red came out this guy's gun years ago.
Yeah.
I have a chip in my body.
Oh wow.
They track us every day.
Yeah.
I wrote to Maxine Warder. She's a traitor. I wrote to several black politicians here in America, and they all turned a blind eye.
Yeah.
Okay, I went to Channel 7 News out there in Brantford. They said the security people's on me. I wrote to LA Times. I wrote to Chicago Times, that's where I'm from. And I wrote to the new media out there in New York. Nothing. We ain't getting no help. I have heart failure because of this. I take medication because of this.
Oh, wow.
She's talking to a person who's been lasered and is tracked everywhere.
He got shot by a laser. He was shot by a laser.
I hear it. I've heard it. Yeah.
Why are we being tracked? If you come down on Skid Row around 9 o'clock in the morning,
he was being tracked as well with a microchip. He stated there was a microchip as well.
Yeah. Wow.
And
He's clearly a slave.
Like we animals, like we dogs.
Yeah.
And if you ask me,
I know.
Ask him if he
I know.
eats animals.
they are the dogs and the animals. That's just me.
Yeah.
It's
I was arrested on Tuesday.
yeah.
For sure. It's crazy.
So is it possible?
Crystal using that
Crystal, be
clout.
careful of those laser beams out there.
The people's in the new
Careful
people.
of those lasers. Did they put a chip in you while you were inside?
On the spot.
I hope her vest is laser resistant.
My mom never had no heart problem.
Echo Daddy says, in the way we are slaves, we must have a job, we get paid.
Okay. Can I challenge
Feel
the
free to
slavery
mute me
thing
if
now?
you don't want to hear. Sorry. Feel
Or
free
do
to
we
mute
want
me
to
if you
listen
want
to
to.
Crystal's thing?
Or you can listen.
Once I get hit with that laser,
I'm going to pop Crystal off until I see her on screen again.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yep.
So, was slavery eradicated?
No.
No, never.
So the fact. So then, during chattel slavery, were the white people slaves?
Most of them.
Most of them were still slaves.
So who wasn't a slave?
Yeah.
During chattel.
So
Who-
wait a
who
minute.
was not
So
a slave
wait.
during chattel slavery?
Are we saying during chattel slavery? Obviously, the black people were slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question is, were the slave owners also slaves?
I don't think that slave owners I think that there's a hierarchy. You could call them slaves as well, and that you get into some interesting conversations about whether or not, for example, Crystal and I, and then now Karina and I watched Fight Club, and we've been talking a lot about is the cult leader also a victim of the cult? Is Tyler Durden the alter ego? Is Tyler Durden a villain, or is he also a victim? That's an interesting question. I would say that the slave owners were also victims of this horrible institution. But I mean, it's hard to have sympathy for them.
Wait,
Slavery.
but the fact that they were okay, but were they a victim as in they were slave owners, or were they a victim as in they were slaves?
Institution of slavery, no one is free, right? The institution of American racial slavery hurts everybody. It's kind of like how you could say the same thing applies to patriarchy, right? Patriarchy hurts men too, but it's hard to have sympathy for them because they're higher up on the rung. They are on a higher rung of the ladder.
Let me ask you this then. Were the slave owners during slavery times better off than if they existed now when we no longer enslave black people?
No, I don't think so.
Were they more or less slaves?
More or less, I think they're almost identical, except I think almost the same. I don't know. What are you trying to get at?
Okay, I'm just trying to understand, because like, were black people slaves also? Like I just like I dislike it. So do you think that the experience that black people were having as slaves was well, I mean, obviously you can compare things to things, but comparable in the sense that were they even similar in any way to your experience as an individual who you call yourself a slave?
Similar. Sure.
Similar.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit disingenuous, Kai. Come on.
Why?
I mean, you have some form of freedom of is established. You can sell your house. You can leave. You have to get a passport. You have to go through certain rules. But
my cage is way bigger.
Not leave. But
you're right. My cage is bigger.
But if you take it that way, you'll always be a slave because you cannot leave Earth. Your cage will always be as big as Earth.
I might be a slave to physics. Physics makes us all its bitches. But that is not what we're talking about. Say like, oh well, the gravity keeps me attached to Earth, so I'm a slave. You could argue that, I suppose, in this metaphysical sense. But when we're talking about,
but I don't mean that way.
Institutions and systems, it doesn't quite count that I can't leave Earth because I'm attached to by gravitons or whatever the hell. Like,
but wait a minute.
Similar. Hold on. Is a battery hen in a battery egg farm? Is that battery hen's experience similar to the free range egg farm?
Yes.
Yeah, they're different, right? But they're similar.
They're different, but they're similar. But the similarities don't come from that experience of that. The similarities come from the fact that the experience of slavery doesn't come from the fact that they don't have freedom to leave that place, but from the fact that they are exploited in that place. And I feel like you aren't like, because exploitation means unfair treatment, right? And I do agree that there's unfair treatment in society, in the sense that some people have privilege over others. Sure, they have more privilege than others, but in theory, everybody has some form of choice in the society that they live in.
The control of movement isn't the end game of oppression. That's a symptom of it. It's one of the things that they do that's like a manifestation of it, when they control where you can go, who you can talk to, where you can move, what you can do. That's control. But that's a manifestation of the oppression, right? You know you're being oppressed because I'm not allowed to leave the room. Then it becomes obvious. So the bird, for example, in this the egg-laying hen who's cage-free is still in a big room they're not allowed to leave, and they're still owned by somebody else. Their experience is different from the battery hen. The battery hen is in basically the size of a piece of paper, right? We've all seen how small their cages are, but they're still in a similar situation.
But I think Benji hits the nail on the head. Control is not the same as slavery.
You're right. Control is not the same as slavery. I said that. Control is a symptom, a manifestation of that slavery or oppression. Control is just how they do it. Sorry. Dre, go ahead. I saw Crystal pop back on, but Dre, what were you going to say? Dre.
I was just going to alert you to the fact that Crystal...
okay.
Yeah.
Crystal, so lasers and microchips.
Okay, if you guys want to hear this guy's story, I can bring him on to talk for 3 minutes. I can do a little interview. He's standing right here.
Let's do it. Let's have a good time. Can he hear us?
No, we can't hear you, but I can ask him questions if you want.
That's great. That
you
way
want
I
to come
can
into
make
the
fun of them
frame?
while it's happening.
And what is your name if you want to ask?
Gregory Moore.
Gregory Moore.
I'm 62 years old, and my mailing address is 303 East Field Street, Los Angeles, California, 90013, the LA mission, because I'm homeless.
Oh, okay.
In 2012, this I don't know whether the guy was Spanish or white because I just woke up. He hit me with a laser. At the time, I didn't know what it was. I found out years later by other people had to inform me about all this crazy stuff. Then I started seeing with my own eyes how me and other people are being tracked from up above from the helicopters. This has been going on every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. This started in 2012 with me. Other people it started before, and I didn't know that they had that type of technology, so I didn't believe it. I had to go through all this stuff myself. I go to the hospital, and they tell me I have heart failure, and one doctor told me the problem I have with my heart is not even normal. That's because I had a chip inside my body, and they tracking us every
Do you know how
day.
the chip got implanted?
How the chip got implanted, I was sitting on the curb. I just woke up 5 o'clock in the morning, and this guy drove up in a black Beamer. He looked at either white or Hispanic. Mm-hmm. He pulled a box out his pocket and hit me. I thought somebody was playing around. That's why I just sat there and didn't pay him no mind. Red, that's what they use in Star Trek when they be fighting when they use them gunfight.
Or like a gun fight?
Yeah, one of them. But it was red that hit me in my forehead. Mm-hmm. That's how they got me. Now,
was this guy in a uniform or no?
No, he was in plain clothes. He driving a black Beamer, and I had just woke up, so he looked like he either was white or Hispanic. But I didn't pay no mind. I'm thinking there's somebody playing around early in the morning. People started telling me about all this crazy stuff. I didn't believe. I didn't believe that they had that kind of technology. I had to see for myself. And it took me years to figure this stuff out. How I am being tracked. Other people are being tracked by the local police and the helicopters up every day with the helicopters.
Why does Mr. Moore think they want to do this?
You'll see 5, 6 helicopters in the sky every day.
Why are they doing this?
I don't know. I swear I don't know. I would like to know that too, because I can drop dead any given day from this. I have heart problems. My mother never had heart problems. My dad never had heart problems. We don't have that in our family. And I've been going to get physicals for years, and I've been told I was in great health. Now all of a sudden I get hit with this thing they hit me with. Now I got heart failure, and then I'm being tracked. So I know it came from the government. I wrote to Maxine Water. They said if you have a problem in the state that you come from, write to your Congress. I wrote to her, and I sent her a copy of my medical report. She sent me back a response saying that she received my mail, but that was it. I wrote to the news media in LA. I even go out to Channel 7 News, and they said the security people on me. I wrote to Chicago News. I wrote to New York News.
Has anybody else had this experience?
Yeah, it's other people. I'm not the only one, but it's only a couple of us that's speaking out because LAPD they tell their people threatening to hurt people, have people killed. If they talk to you, I have zero fear for them. I'd rather get out here and expose them. That way, if I do drop dead, they get exposed.
Yeah.
So they using all kind of intimidate tactics and everything, sticking dope dealers on us and drug guys, all type of crazy stuff, man.
Yeah.
Does he feel more safe or less safe with all this?
He's been telling me for years.
Do you feel more safe or less safe with all the feds around and everything?
I'm not safe at all. The feds, they all in this stuff together. How can I be safe?
Yeah.
When they have people here following us, they have people on drugs. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about crack and medication following us. This stuff is every day.
Where were you born?
I'm born in Chicago.
What brought you out here? And when
I came out here in 1987. Okay. I just got out of prison back there in Chicago. I came out here to make a new life for myself. Yeah. That didn't happen. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm finna go there. In 1989, I was falsely convicted of attempt rape, attempt murder, assault with a firearm, and the person had me locked up with my sister. Okay, I have evidence that I was falsely convicted on all 5 charges. Mm-hmm. LAPD and the FBI, they uses that to tell people's, hey, don't listen to him, because wherever I go to casinos, the park, I'm telling people. Yeah. And they tell people, and he's a convicted, as you can see, I'm not no serial rape. They put you out there, I'm a serial rape. I ain't never had to buy ankle laces and none of that stuff yet. Mm-hmm. So how's I'm a serial rape? I have evidence, man. I wrote to George, what's the prosecutor name? George, I can't pronounce his last name.
I don't know.
He a white Cuban. He was the DA of LA County. He just lost the
Gascon.
Oh, George Gaston.
Right?
I wrote to him.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, if you get in contact with him, he'll tell you. I wrote to him. I went to his building several times to him. I was hoping I could get a chance to talk to him. That way I could put everything on tape. I didn't put everything in black and white because I figured somebody in that building gonna get to the mail and not gonna get me in trouble. Which it did because I had some Mexican friends of mine tell me that the word came out that I was snitching on Mexicans because I wrote and told George how LAPD.
I want to know how he feels about ICE disappearing
blacks,
people. How he feels
anybody,
about
to intimidate
other people
us,
being oppressed.
threaten us, and all type of crazy stuff. So I wrote to George. I told him about all that stuff. I also told him about how they would come by and write all kind of devil stuff on my wall where I sleep at. So I wrote to him, and now I also let him know that I was false convicted. He sent me a form for post conviction.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to do that stuff. Yeah, I've been trying to get lawyers and trying to get help.
Have you contacted the National Lawyers Guild in Los Angeles?
I have contacted
ACLU.
I contacted ACLU. I went to their facility over there on 8th Street, 7th Street, and they told me they don't have the resources for all this stuff. So now my focus is Cal State. They do false people who've been falsely convicted. So now, right now, I gotta get the transcripts because they stole all my stuff. They stole my transcript. I don't have no addresses, no telephone number. I don't have anything. So there was time I could go home to Chicago and I could find my people like that. Now I can't even find them when I go back there because they were storing all my stuff.
Unfortunately, we're out of time, but I appreciate and I hope anybody can. We have your name and address and everything. And
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's
Welcome
frustrating.
to Los Angeles.
I identify with the sentiment because having been somebody who was arrested, and I'm like, I'm a veterinarian. I emailed the mayor. I emailed, my city council members, the attorney, and getting no response. And I was ostracized by the veterinary profession and am kind of viewed as this crazy person now. And I wonder how many stories there are out there of. And you got to take everything with a grain of salt, but what's really going on in this world, we don't know. And the whole, what's the CIA giving people drugs, that whole thing.
And they did. And they
selling drugs and
giving people mental institutions,
and
LSD.
Yeah.
They've done all sorts of things to control people. So I don't know. I feel like maybe we're all slaves in the system that's unjust. Maybe there is, I don't know. Chip has been arguing with me this whole time, but Dre seems to be on the same page. I can't tell. And Chip is now quiet for some reason.
Oh, sorry. I have a question. What needs to happen in order for you to no longer be a slave?
I need to no longer be compelled to do something that I don't want to do in order to live in this country. I should not have to go to work merely for a paycheck. I should be able to freely come and go without documentation.
Love it.
I should not be arrested for merely walking down the street.
Great ones. Chip, she was arrested for walking down the street. We all have to show up.
Yeah, we all disagree on the arrest. Yeah.
We all have to do jobs why can't we sit at home and
I'm not sit at home. We all have our own aspirations.
Right.
But we stifle that with the illusion that I have to get this job in order to pay my bills. It's not what I truly dream of doing, but it's what I'm going to do. But I am very lucky in that I have crafted my life so that I spend most of my time doing exactly what I want to do. But it took me many years of doing what I didn't want to do in order to get there. So
wait, you still go to work for a paycheck doing what you do? Does that still apply in the situation? So in order for you to be free, do you still need to get
But
away
I
from
still
that?
need the right paperwork. I was still arrested for walking down the street.
No, that's an
And
injustice
it's not
that
whether or
has
not she
happened.
enjoys
Let's
the
not.
job. It's whether
I
or not
know
she
a
has
lot
to
of
do it.
my friends and family are doing jobs that they don't want to do just to be able to live here. So
The
No,
fact that you have to do the job's different. You know, Captain Kirk doesn't have to be a starship captain. He just does it because that's what he wants to do. You know, he feels that's what he wants to do. They're not forcing him to do it.
yeah.
So how could, like, if everybody, so because we want a world without any slaves, correct?
That's the
Yes.
idea, yeah.
Okay, so if everybody in this world wants to stay at home, how does this
Not
world
stay
work
at home.
anymore?
Hold on.
People
Not stay at
don't
home.
want to. Nobody wants to do that.
No,
And people
but that's
want
not the question. That's not the question if people want to do it or not. But there is a strong possibility that there might be a week where everybody would just wants to stay at home the whole week, correct?
Maybe.
Yeah. So if the whole world wants to stay at home the whole week, how does the world function in that week?
I don't think that that's a thing that is actually going to happen because everybody has a project that they're working on that they're passionate about to make their communities better, and they don't want to see that project not advance for a week. So,
But Crystal, I fight for animal rights. I'm passionate about it, but I want to take breaks from it.
But you're
So
saying
if
you should
everybody,
break the same day or something? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, what if it happens? Yes, what if it happens
I
that
don't think it's
everybody
gonna
wants to
happen.
take?
I think you're like, that's an unrealistic situation.
No,
I mean,
but
we
like
have
my
bank
whole point
holidays.
is that
We still, society doesn't fail. Like we just had Juneteenth. A lot of people took it off. We didn't all fall into the river.
but there are jobs that nobody wants to do. There are jobs that nobody wants to do. That's the
like
reality.
dishwashing. Wash your own dishes.
No, not like dishwashing. Not like
Yes.
dishwashing, but like cleaning the streets. Who wants to do that? Who's passionate about doing that?
Clean your own streets.
I don't know.
I'd
think,
rather pay
you know,
somebody to clean the street than clean my own street.
No,
there
there's
are people who like literally have children and put themselves in this horrible position of now having to like feed that child and change the diapers, and they don't do it because they're paid to. They do it because they feel some sort of like moral responsibility to do it. And I think that's what the society we would create is people who are cleaning the streets, who are doing these tasks because they feel a sense of like just moral obligation to their community to do
yes,
this.
and we love them for doing it. If you
Wait a
wanted-
minute.
if you didn't have people who were forced to clean the street, we would, as a neighborhood, get together and either we clean up in front of our own house or we start cleaning each other's yards. We would organize it by ourselves.
But you guys are not talking about human beings.
Yes, we
Because
are.
no, well, I've been speaking to several human beings, and I've come to the conclusion that the only way to get animals to have the right to not be exploited by us is to make laws, because there will always be people who will want to exploit these animals. Always, 100%. So, like, let's imagine specifically for animal rights, right? If one human being wants to exploit an animal, should they have the freedom to do so?
Do you think that rape is gone
The
because
right
there's laws
of my
against it?
hand ends where the
I'm
right
not saying
of your
it's
nose
gone.
begins, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. The right of my fist ends where the right of your nose begins.
Right. You're
So-
saying that you say we need laws to make rape go away.
No. But like what you're talking about is some extreme form of subjectivity, right? Because we're pretty clear. Like we can't, like all the people I talked to on the street can't agree on the fact that animals should have the basic right to their own life. So if we go by this, then we build a society where obviously there will be somebody who will
Chip,
claim
why-
intellectual
wait a
superiority or
second.
superiority,
Why
and they will
do
say that they can
all-
oppress somebody else.
Why do you think
Do they
that
have the
they're
right
like
to do that?
Why do you think they're like that? You said they all you meet so many people that they don't think animals have rights. Why? And why do you think they don't believe animals have rights?
I mean, obviously, because they were born in a system that taught them that. But there's
Yeah.
also human beings who are not because of that. There's
because
human
they're
beings who live.
slaves.
No, I have met. I know 100% for a fact there are human beings who, if they have power, they want to abuse that power.
So
That's why we need to take away the power. Yeah.
But wait a minute. That's not problem solved. That's not problem solved because power cannot be like as you're saying, in a world where everybody does what they want to do. If somebody has physical power, then they can do whatever they want to do. Who will stop them from doing?
Here's where like right to bear arms kind of equalizes things.
And that's why they call guns
for
the great equalizer.
self-protection.
Okay. And also our numbers too. You could say that.
Okay, who wants to mine the metals to build the guns? Like you feel like you get into this whole position.
There are people whose passion in life would be to do that.
Mining.
Mining.
Yeah.
And maybe
come on, that's disingenuous. Nobody wants to mine.
Maybe that's for the best.
maybe it's best that we don't mine.
Okay, so then we don't have guns. So then I ask you yet again, if somebody has power over you, like let's say, so there's people in this world who are born with a sexual attraction to kids. Should they be allowed to have sex with kids?
You can make guns out of wood and all sorts of other shit.
Who's going to reinforce them then? If we don't have an institution to reinforce them to not be allowed to do that, then who's going to reinforce that?
Yeah. You have smaller groups, smaller institutions, everything's local. You don't have these mega institutions that bomb Iran. You don't have these problems because you're right. Maybe no one wants to dig uranium out of the earth and make their life half as long because
nobody
money
wants to do that. Of course, that it's
so
just.
no
I feel like
great.
I feel like we're creating this false equivalence where it's either this type of freedom or what we have now. And what I'm saying is that it doesn't have to be full free, whatever this extreme version of freedom. Sorry, I call it extreme, but or what we have now. It can be in middle.
We are not. We're saying.
I'm not creating two situations. I'm saying there's a whole lot in the middle that we can use. I'm not saying there's only two situations.
We need to fight for liberation. We need to fight for liberation at all times.
I don't disagree with that.
Pieces of it.
I just wouldn't call myself a slave, and I wouldn't call you a slave, because individuals who are slave were owned by other individuals. Like, take for instance, let me put it this situation. I personally am in a situation where I may not have enough money to live in the Netherlands anymore, okay? So I'm in this situation. So what happens now is I looked it up, and I could move to Vietnam, for example. And with the money that I have, I could be living in Vietnam. I have the freedom to move there. If I were a slave, I couldn't do that. How am I a slave?
You're higher up you're higher up on the ladder, Chip. Just like I might be higher up on some ladders than Crystal, and she's higher up on other ladders than me. But we're still on these ladders.
The second you get sick or injured and are dependent now on the medical system, your choices become limited. And if you become disabled in some way.
In the Netherlands, it's different because we all pay for everybody to have social systems.
Wow, there you go. But not in Vietnam. You're that here. Yeah, not in Vietnam either. I guess you could move to Vietnam.
I don't know.
Don't get sick though.
I'm honestly, I cannot agree with the idea that any of us are slaves. I just cannot agree. I think it's doing a disservice to individuals who are actual slaves. I think if you want to call it, like, I agree with you that it's not a completely fair system, but like to call ourselves slaves is to say that there's only slaves, like this whole gradient that you talk about, Sky, this whole freedom, everything, if we're not at freedom, then everything in between is slavery, correct?
I want to say something that's going to sound shitty, but please don't take it that way. I beg you to spend 2 hours and read just the Communist Manifesto. It talks about the slavery under capitalism to a high degree, and don't use ChatGPT to read it for you either, just because the poetry involved in it might actually move you.
I was going to do that.
No, don't. You could get it for free. It'll take you maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours to read it.
Can I have an audiobook?
Every language. Sure,
can I have an audiobook? Okay.
You must. Read it. And tell me how you feel about slavery, because we're going to go in circles, and we only got 2 minutes left, and I got to go to a protest. But I think that if we're going to fight for liberation, we have to understand that we're against slavery as a principle. And if we're fighting that principle, that's why we have to account all of us versus them. While we're separating us we're not united. The last words of the Communist Manifesto might move you most of all. Working people of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains. This is something you're doing. You're bifurcating or you're making it multifaceted where it isn't. We are one. The ownership class is our enemy. Why saying that we're not all slaves, we can acknowledge that there's rungs within that, but that's not the same thing as saying like Crystal might be at a lower rung because she's a woman in some situations, right? But sometimes because I'm a man, I might be, but because she makes more money than me, she's at a much higher level in some circles. She's at a higher rung. She's less, you see what I mean? But we're still both slaves.
But
Can
Sky
we just
could
call you
probably,
schmaves?
even though I'm hella swole, Sky could probably kick my ass if it comes to it.
Maybe. I don't know. You're pretty tough. But
since you weigh twice as much as me.
but Crystal,
jump on top of me.
With her biting wit might hurt my feelings and I'll cry and kill myself. So like you know, I might have more in certain circles. She has a higher level of trust than I do, but in other circles, I have a higher level of trust than she does. This is just like it's true. This is it's just a truth of the world. Sucks, right?
Since you're a white man,
That's
you
right.
have more public trust generally.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a fact of the way we are under the
But wait a minute. Wait a minute. Existence of privilege. Does existence of privilege make somebody a slave?
Does the existence of privilege make somebody a slave?
Yeah. Because privilege, no matter what society you create, privilege will always exist. Just like injustice will always exist.
So privilege can come from various other things. Social status could come because I accomplished something. Like someone who cures cancer, people love that person, and so they have privilege based on that. I create a beautiful piece of art, I get privilege from that because I've done that. It's not the same thing. I collected more pieces of paper and I have a thicker bank account and therefore I have privilege. You see the difference? I have a privilege because of my contribution, not because I was born rich.
So you're saying monetary privilege is different? Yeah, sure. I agree with you.
It's part of the system.
I mean,
so I think these guys are Marines, actually, because it says USMC on their
they're
jerseys.
Marines.
Yeah.
Damn, they're Marines. Wow. Well, there we are in the police state. Thank you, Chip. Thank you, Crystal, from the police state of Los Angeles. I'm gonna go scream and yell about how I don't want to be a slave. Crystal, everyone can find her at Our Honor.
Honestly, it's the yelling and screaming about how you don't want to be a slave as a white man is not going to play well. I'm just going to, foreshadow that.
Wait, why? Why? Wait. Why?
Because it's bad optics.
If you actually are a slave, then you shouldn't be afraid to peddle your idea, which you think is correct.
Yes, you should.
Well, all right.
Because we know how the world works, and that's one way that freedom is limited by social pressure and ideas and words that will not play well.
Situational awareness. I will not be saying, please don't enslave me, but I will be saying, when our Constitution is under attack, what do? We stand up and we fight back. So I'm going to go yell in a megaphone about how I don't want to be enslaved, and wink. Please find Crystal on Dr. Crystal Heath on YouTube or Our Honor on YouTube. Please find Chip as that.
Redbook, and so check me out on Redbook.
Oh, Jeff, find her on Redbook, the communist China's TikTok, even more communist than TikTok.
My videos do really well there for some reason, especially my non-talking videos, just the surgery videos.
It's funny because Redbook still makes me think of the women's magazine, but.
Or Red Note, that's what it's called. Red Note or Red Book?
Red Note.
Red Note,
yeah.
Yeah, Red Book's also a restaurant management thing. All right, and check out that Chip guy also. So check out Crystal on YouTube and that Chip guy on YouTube or Instagram or Our Honor on Instagram. Thank you for joining us.
X and Red Note,
X and Red Note. We're pushing X and Red Note.
To be continued. I will read that thing, Sky, and we will continue this conversation next week.
All right, baby. I'll tell you what. I'll reread it as well, just so that I can have a fresher memory. Okay, because I haven't read the whole thing cover to cover since I was a kid.
I love to be challenged, so this sounds like a challenge. Perfect.
All right. Bye, everybody. Stay safe, Crystal.
Stay safe, Crystal.
Bye, everybody. See you on Monday. And I'll be live on Monday if we aren't vaporized. If I'm not vaporized, I'll see you on Monday. Thank you, Chip. Thank you, Trey. Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to